Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. While I do admire the president, it's nothing more than admiration. Rinji and Hayasaka exchanged glances. What a hassle of a woman. You do realize the Shinomiya family is barely holding on, right? You, an outsider, really know how to put on airs. Rinji said flatly. To be honest, the president used to be the director of the Dainippon, and soon he's going to be the chairman of a company worth over $1 trillion. Behind him is Japan's entire financial sector. Frankly, I think you're the one who's unworthy. Kaguya. Hayasaka, wait a second. Rinji continued, and with your family's shrinking assets, whether the Shinomiya family can keep its monopoly in Japan is doubtful. At this rate, you're just a fallen noble's daughter. Hoping to be worthy of someone like the president? That's wishful thinking. Why? Why would you say such cruel things? Tears welled up in Kaguya's eyes. This expression. I've seen it before. Probably from Shijo-san. Hayasaka whispered. The Shijos were originally a branch of the Shinomiya family, and Shijo Maki is the granddaughter of your father's younger brother. You're blood-related. Got it. Rinji cleared his throat and turned back to Kaguya, who was on the verge of tears. In short, Shinomiya, if you don't make a move soon, someone else, probably richer, prettier, and with a better body, is going to take him from you. Thud. Kaguya slammed her head onto the table. No. It can't be true. President. Of course it's not true. I was just speculating. Speculating, okay? Ugh. But you're in luck. You've still got one chance if you want to be with him. I told you I. Just as Kaguya was about to continue arguing, Rinji pulled out his phone from his pocket. Since I know a few young ladies from prestigious families, why don't I introduce them to the president? Let him go on some mixers and pick one. No. Kaguya jumped up and quickly pressed down on Rinji's hand and phone. Don't do anything unnecessary. I thought you didn't like the president? I just think. Kaguya averted her gaze. We're still high schoolers after all. Deciding on a girlfriend so early is a bit. But you're already at Japan's legal marriage age. Rinji looked at her expressionlessly. If you don't like the president, at least don't stop him from finding a girlfriend. She realized that Rinji was forcing her to admit she actually liked the president. Just as she was caught in inner turmoil, Hayasaka suddenly stood up and said she needed to go to the restroom. As she walked past Rinji, she tugged lightly at the back of his collar. Rinji understood and stood up to follow her. Next to the restroom. Kaguya-sama is currently stuck in a loop. She has confession anxiety. Hayasaka said. She's afraid of getting rejected by the president, so she doesn't want to confess. The more afraid she gets, the less likely she is to act. A confession is the final step, and there's no turning back afterward. No matter how good the relationship is between a boy and a girl, once a confession is made, only 2 outcomes remain. One is a happy ending where they start dating. The other is that even their current relationship falls apart. To avoid awkwardness, they end up avoiding each other completely and become strangers. I see. That makes sense. Rinji nodded thoughtfully. I've had confession anxiety too. I was rejected when I confessed. Mid-sentence, Rinji suddenly remembered the girl who rejected him was standing right in front of him. Ah, sorry. It's okay. I should be the one apologizing. Hayasaka replied. If she had been braver back then, things might not have ended up this way. Even now, she wasn't planning to give up. She felt responsible for the situation and wanted to see it through. So if we want Kaguya-sama to confess to the president, we need to make her believe that the confession will definitely succeed. That's doable. But how do we tell her? I can't exactly say the president likes her too. Guess we'll have to use that trick. Huh? Sorry to keep you waiting. Rinji and Hayasaka returned to their seats 10 minutes later. To Kaguya, those 10 minutes felt like an eternity. Her hand had been shaking her drink bottle ever since they left, betraying her inner turmoil. Back to our earlier topic, Shinomiya. Rinji said. You're aware that you'll be in your final year of high school next year, right? Yes. That means focusing on your studies. The president will likely put all his attention into school. You'll have no chance then. He's definitely aiming for an external university, since a good school means a better future. And when that time comes, you two will be separated. You'll probably opt for internal advancement, as your family requires. At that point, he'll be meeting many other outstanding girls, and you'll be out of the picture. I don't care whether you really like the president or not, but your time limit is the end of this semester. Limited time only. This was a basic marketing tactic. Typically used in time-limited sales, buy now or miss out forever. A common method to trigger consumer urgency. Rinji simply applied this logic to Kaguya. He was essentially telling her, if you don't confess now, you'll never have another chance with Shire again. This was enough to stir up her anxiety. That's all I needed to say. So, I'll confess. I'll do it at the Hoshin festival. If the president doesn't confess first, I will. Chapter 355, Extension. Kaguya's declaration shocked both Rinji and Hayasaka. Hayasaka stared in disbelief at her lady and pulled out a handkerchief to wipe away imaginary tears. Finally. Kaguya-sama's grown up. Huh? I've waited so long for this moment. Was I really that bad? Putting the handkerchief away, Hayasaka looked at Kaguya seriously. Since you've made up your mind, let's treat the Hoshin festival as the final battleground. I'll begin refining your confession plan immediately. There's a plan? Of course. I've been preparing it for 6 months. 6 months? In truth, the moment Hayasaka sensed Kaguya's interest in Shire again, she had started laying out a strategy. Even though Kaguya denied it at every turn, she couldn't hide it from Hayasaka. Rinji chimed in. To make sure everything goes smoothly, I'll provide some after-sales support. Kaguya didn't understand what he meant by after-sales. Rinji looked at her confused expression and simply smiled, then asked, Shinomiya, have you ever thought about what happens if your confession succeeds and you actually become a couple with the president? Well, Kaguya wasn't the kind of person to act on impulse without considering the future. She had thought about the complications if things went that far. The gap in family status was a major issue. The Shinomiya main house would never allow her and Shirogane to be together. If they found out, the consequences would be severe. So even if the confession succeeded, the best course would be to hide the relationship completely. And after that? Take things one step at a time. On one hand, she'd need to gather leverage against the main house, and on the other, nurture the relationship carefully. The future would be difficult. I can tell you clearly, Shinomiya. If you succeed, I'll handle the main house. You won't need to worry about any interference. Really? Kaguya stood up in excitement. If Rinji was telling the truth, then she and Shirogane could enjoy their relationship without worrying about their backgrounds. Just like normal people in love. Of course. Rinji spread his hands as if to say, it's no big deal. Shinomiya, you're just one confession away from a happy life. If you do it, everything will follow. Hayasaka will handle the plan. I'll handle the aftermath. Just follow the steps and happiness is within reach. At this point, even Rinji had to admit. He had a real knack for salesmanship. Fine. Good. A wise decision. Your future self will thank you for this choice. There's just one more thing. Yeah? Kaguya had been decisive, but now unease clouded her face. She hesitated. If I confess to the president, how likely is he to accept? This was her biggest worry. Would he actually say yes? Rinji could make all the promises in the world for what came after. But what if the confession failed? My gut says 90% chance. Still a 10% chance of rejection. Even if I said 99%, you'd fixate on that 1%. The point is, you've got to try. If you don't act, you'll have 0 chance. I understand. Finally. Rinji couldn't help sighing. This tsundere rich girl was even more of a handful than he thought. Well, that's settled. I'll wait. This time, it wasn't Kaguya who spoke, but Hayasaka. She raised her hand to stop Rinji from leaving and turned to look at Kaguya. Kaguya-sama, your issue is resolved. Now it's time for mine. Huh? Both Kaguya and Rinji looked puzzled. Though I'm still working in Kaguya-sama's household, I'm technically being paid by Rinji, not the Shinomiya family. That means I'm no longer a full-time maid under them, but part-time. Oh, you want a vacation, right? Rinji slapped his forehead, realizing what she meant. He figured Hayasaka must be exhausted from the 18-hour workdays at the Shinomiya estate and wanted a more relaxed job. Alright then. From now on, just work as you like. Make sure you sleep at least 8 hours a day. Kaguya nodded in agreement. I think so too. That kind of intense work really isn't healthy. No, that's not what I meant. Hayasaka shook her head and took out a schedule from her bag. Just follow the usual routine, except. As she spoke, Hayasaka made a mark on the schedule from Friday to Sunday. Since the one employing me is Rinji, I'll work at Kaguya-sama's place from Monday to Thursday, and from Friday to Sunday, I'll be Rinji's maid. Is that alright? Ah, said Rinji. No problem, replied Kaguya. After all, it's under your funding now. Though it would take her some time to adjust to Hayasaka being absent 3 days a week, the fact that she could still have Hayasaka around after being dismissed by the main house was already a blessing. She couldn't ask for more. Besides, Kaguya could tell what Hayasaka was aiming for. Is that really okay? Rinji asked with concern. Going back and forth between the two places. It's fine. Hayasaka smiled. Then Rinji, what's your opinion? I don't mind either. At worst, she could finish all her work beforehand. The 3 days at his place could count as rest. Then please take care of me tomorrow too, master. Don't call me that, I can't get used to it. Rinji chuckled. Speaking of which, today was Saturday, and tomorrow was Sunday. Hayasaka's new arrangement conveniently extended her stay at Rinji's place by one more day. And every Sunday, Karura would visit Rinji's home. Chapter 356, As your brother, I am deeply saddened. After the conversation ended, Kaguya returned home with her own thoughts. Hayasaka followed her back to the Shinomiya estate. Since from now on, including tomorrow, Hayasaka would work at Rinji's home every Friday through Sunday, she had to return to her own place to collect some things. She said she needed some equipment. Rinji didn't really understand what she was up to, but he let her go. Instead of going home, Rinji visited Shiragane's place. After all, Shiragane would be managing the company, and there were many things to discuss before the official handover. So, President, when do you plan to take over the company? To be honest, Rinji, I'm not ready to take on the role of chairman yet, said Shiragane. I still lack the knowledge, and I don't think I'm capable of managing a company. Are you backing out at the last minute? It's not that, Shiragane said, clutching his head. As you said, this is a training opportunity. But I told myself I wouldn't take over unless I was at least 70% confident I could run a large enterprise. Right now, I'm not even 7% confident. That's quite the problem. He only managed to become the president of the Dainapon because Rinji forced him into the position. Once seated, he couldn't back out and had no choice but to push forward. But this time was different. Though Shiragane had made up his mind, without intense pressure, even his fast learning speed wasn't enough to grasp everything about managing a company in a short period. Moreover, during his time at the bank, there were many subordinates running things. As company chairman, he would have to take full responsibility, which made him hesitant. If you don't want to do it, then I've got no one else in mind. Rinji sighed. When do you think you'll be ready? After I finish learning everything systematically. I see. Click. While they were talking, the front door opened. In came Shiragane's father and back from their part-time jobs. Huh? Rinji, you came over? Yep. Rinji waved at her with a smile. Just discussing something with the president. Quickly changed shoes and headed into the kitchen, returning with a cup of tea which she placed in front of Rinji before casually sitting beside him. Where's my tea? Shiragane asked. Make it yourself. By the way, Rinji asked, what are you discussing with my brother? Student council stuff? No, I want the president to get some training at a company. I see. Nodded and turned to Shiragane. Then just do it. Do you know what position Rinji offered me? Why are you being so picky? It's chairman. Chairman of a company with assets over 1 trillion yen. Fell silent. That number was one she'd only seen in newspapers. Companies with assets in the trillions usually belong to entire industries. I just wanted the president to get some experience, but who knew he'd chicken out at the last moment? Rinji said. No. I don't think most people would have the courage, even less so my brother. The Shiragane family used to be dirt poor. The only reason they could afford to live in a luxury apartment now was because Shiragane once worked at the Dainapon Bank, Bank of Japan, and earned a high salary. But even with that, after rent, their daily expenses still required and their father to work part-time nearby. They were a family traumatized by poverty. Rinji, don't you worry about the company going bankrupt if you hand it to my brother? Not at all. Rinji answered. You might not know this, but your Rinji is very rich. I can already tell from the ingredients you bring over. No, when I first met you guys, I was poor. Only had 23 million USD to my name, which are about 2.3 billion yen. Now I'm rich. Assets in the trillions. Even if you're rich, don't waste money. I just want to train the president and improve your family's situation a little. Rinji sighed. I don't have any family in Japan. You guys are my family. I see. Accepted his words. And it's not like I'm throwing money away. The president will be on a fixed salary. I'll eventually hand the company over to someone else. I'm just offering a good salary. Even my maid earns 500,000 yen a month. What? Shouted in shock. You hired a maid? Yeah, she's working for me right now. I pay her 500,000 yen monthly. He was talking about Hayasaka. That was her salary at the Shinomiya house, so Rinji just rehired her at the same rate. What does a maid do? Clean the house. And that's about it. My place isn't that big. Cleaning, huh? Rinji's apartment is about 175 square meters. Cleaning it takes 2 hours, and with that salary, she earns about 16,000 yen a day. That's like doing 5 days of newspaper delivery. What are you muttering? Rinji, can I work at your place? Absolutely not. As looked disappointed, Rinji suddenly patted her shoulder. You're my little sister. If you need pocket money, just ask me. It's not just in Japan. You're my only sister in the whole world. A girl your age should enjoy youth. Working all day breaks my heart. Do you think I can bear seeing you suffer? Well, you call me bro, so I have an obligation to make sure you live well. Or do you see me as an outsider? Of course not. I've always liked Rinji, blurted out, blushing. Really? Of course. Good, then take this. Rinji pulled out a black card from his wallet and handed it to Chapter 357, didn't expect uncle to be so capable. This is. What? A card you can use to buy stuff. Said Rinji. Of course, only for things available on the market. Really? Had never seen a card like this before. The number of digits seemed fewer than usual, and instead of ordinary plastic, the card was made of metal. Just take it. Shiragane's father came out from his room with a cup of tea. When he saw the card Rinji handed to his brows furrowed slightly, then relaxed. Is it really okay? If uncle says it's okay, then it's definitely okay. Rinji smiled and slipped the card into his hand. At that moment, Shiragane's father spoke up. By the way, I overheard you talking to Miyuki about him becoming chairman. Yeah, I want the president to get some hands-on training. I just happened to set up a new company. Got a proposal for it. I do. Can I take a look? Maybe I can offer some suggestions. Sure, I'll go get it from my place. Rinji nodded, headed to the entrance, put on his shoes, and prepared to run home to fetch the proposal document. It was just 2 floors up. Wouldn't take long to get there and back. After Rinji left, Shiragane Papa looked at who was staring blankly at the black card in her hand, and said, that card isn't an ordinary credit card. It's called the American Express Centurion card. This. What's the difference from a regular card? There's a huge difference. He pointed to the card in his hand. This card has no spending limit. No limit as in. It means you can spend however much you want. This card was known as the King of Cards. Issued in 31 countries and regions worldwide. It couldn't be applied for. Only invited by the bank. Every cardholder was a billionaire-level figure. Aside from no limit, it came with top-tier prestige, custom services, and unparalleled global privileges, including round-the-clock concierge services, VIP seats for global events, and access to exclusive private clubs in major cities. Stared blankly at the card in her hand, trembling. Though it was physically light, it felt unbearably heavy. So, that's the card. Her father said. Then why did Rinji give it to me? I did not let him give it to you to use. Her father replied. Rinji has known us for a while now, and I understand him. He might seem unreliable on the surface, but he's actually very considerate. You have no right to call others unreliable. Miyuki interjected from the side. He truly sees us as family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped us so many times. He didn't want you two continuing to struggle working to support the family, so he kept helping. If you don't accept this, he might feel like we're rejecting him. I see. So just keep the card. It'll also put Rinji at ease. Her father said. But unless it's an emergency, don't use it recklessly. Got it. Of course, occasionally using it to buy some inexpensive things is fine. If you never use it at all, Rinji might get the wrong idea. Her father finished his explanation and calmly sipped his tea. Shiragane walked over to his sister and saw her still trembling and muttering. No limit. Anything I want. Just because of a word from Rinji. Don't develop bad spending habits. I know. But it was simply too much money. Especially for a family that had long lived in poverty. Carefully hid the card in her room. Just then, Rinji returned. Uncle, I brought the proposal. Oh? Let me see. Again Papa pretended as if nothing had happened and accepted the company proposal Rinji handed over. As he sipped tea and read through it, his brow suddenly furrowed. Rinji. Yeah? Did you write this proposal seriously? Of course. You sure you weren't just winging it? No way. Then. Can you explain why the first product for a pharmaceutical company is a biochemical weapon? Because I just happen to have the technology and can find a sales channel. The sales channel Rinji referred to was obviously his internal system. Once produced, the weapons could be directly sold to the organization. As a newly founded pharmaceutical company, I don't think the first product should be something like that. Again Papa said seriously. You shouldn't even produce medical drugs. Huh? Why? In Japan, medical drug profit margins are about 30%, BP products go up to 60%. That's quite high. But think about it. Who takes medicine when they're healthy? People only need medicine when they're sick. No one thinks, nice weather today, let me buy some meds. He tapped the proposal. Medicine doesn't have customer attracting capability. Plus, you only have patents and production licenses for specialized drugs, which require connections with hospitals. That's a complicated process. At least in the early stages, don't go that route. He seemed to get into lecture mode. Because of those two disadvantages. Low customer draw and high logistical complexity. It's better not to touch advanced medicine early on. I think the company should optimize its product lineup first, produce daily essentials or health supplements, and when the market share is stable, expand with chain stores. The design should use. He went on, and Rinji patiently listened. When Again Papa finally paused to sip tea, he noticed Rinji looking at him in awe. What is it? Nothing. I just didn't expect you to be so amazing. This is part of my life experience. Everyone has their prime years. Uncle, can I ask you something? The president ran off already, so why don't you give the company a shot? Chapter 358, Face it like a man. You want me to be the chairman? Yeah. I don't really understand proper company operations, but you seem knowledgeable enough to handle decision-making. Well, that may be true, but I've never run a company with such massive assets before. He glanced at the proposal. Excluding the office building, factory, and labor costs, the company had over 1 trillion yen in cash. Although the Shinomiya family's total assets amounted to over 200 trillion yen, they owned hundreds of companies and subsidiaries. One single company having this much cash was rare. Especially one that hadn't even produced anything yet. Give it a try. I've got no one else, and you're clearly capable. I guess I can try, but I'll say this first. I've had a company before, and it went bankrupt. I don't know how this one will turn out. Go ahead and try. This one's debt-free. Again Papa's previous bankruptcy had happened because he took out a business loan before starting the company. Once it collapsed, the massive debt fell directly on him. It hadn't been easy for the family to pull through together until now. Actually, I don't even know why you went bankrupt. I got scammed. When running a company, you have to watch out not only for outsiders but also your own people. He said. The factory was doing fine, but some fraud in a partnership ruined everything. I feel that deeply. 2 companies Rinji had invested in also collapsed due to being scammed. By the Shinomiya family, no less. You've got a good temper, uncle. If someone screwed me over like that, their corpse would be rotting in Tokyo Bay by now. Rinji said with a grin. But don't worry about that. You just focus on operations. I'll handle external threats. Alright. Then about the salary. Monthly salary of 1 million yen, 5 million year-end bonus, and 15% company shares. Deal. Just like that, the partnership was settled. Again leaned in toward Rinji and whispered, Hey, isn't that salary a bit too high for my dad? No way. Think about it. How could a chairman of even a mid-sized company only get 1 million a month? That's already on the low end. Fair enough. Thanks to Rinji, Dad finally has a proper, respectable job now. Said. At least I don't have to be embarrassed at school anymore. Was attending the middle school division of Shuchin Academy, which, like the high school division, was full of rich kids. She was popular due to her academics, but whenever people asked about her family background, she would always dodge the question. It wasn't out of vanity. Just to fit in. Now you can answer them proudly. Rinji said. Your dad's a company chairman, your brother's a bank president, and the other one. He paused, realizing he didn't really have a title. Technical advisor at a tech firm. He remembered the job title he was registered under, though he hadn't visited that research department in ages. Still, everything this family has now is thanks to you, Rinji said with a smile. We're all close enough. No need to be so formal. You're right. Any more would be overly sentimental. Her father added. Rinji, I can't promise everything, but I'll give my all to run your company well. I'm not worried. Well, since we're this close. Shirogane Papa leaned toward Shirogane. Miyuki, don't you think it's time to share your decision? Eh? Right now. It's not a big deal. Just let Rinji know. Huh? What decision? It's not that big a deal. Shirogane scratched his head. You know about the Shuchen board recommendation letter that every student council president gets, right? Oh, the one that lets you apply to any university? Exactly. So, I've decided to go to Stanford. Oh, that. Just as Rinji had expected, Shirogane didn't plan to stay in Japan for university. He wasn't going to take local entrance exams either but had decided to study abroad. When are you heading out? I need to pass their internal test first. If I do, I'll be leaving after the first semester of senior year. Miyuki said. We won't have much time left together. Studying abroad, huh? Not a bad choice. Rinji and Shirogane stood on the balcony, gazing at the street view. Remember that research institute you visited? A lot of people there graduated from Stanford. Eh? Really? Of course. Although most of them dropped out halfway, never getting their diplomas. That was normal. After all, this was EU. What decent person joins EU? You've already made up your mind? Yeah, I want to climb even higher, to learn more. Only then will I be worthy of all the help you've given my family. Shirogane said with a smile. Also, I've made another decision. This Hoshin festival might be my last chance. If Shinomiya doesn't confess to me, then I'll be the one to confess to her. I advise you not to. Rinji replied flatly. That morning, Kaguya had just made the same decision, and now in the afternoon, Shirogane was thinking along the same lines. Even though he could just wait for Kaguya to confess first, Shirogane suddenly decided to take the initiative. I don't have time to wait. I'll be leaving Japan soon. If I don't confess now, we'll be apart for 4 years. I have to act while I still can. Fine, but who knows, maybe Shinomiya is thinking the exact same thing. That's just wishful thinking. In the end, I have to face this like a man. Said Shirogane firmly. He had made up his mind. Chapter 359, Masters Cross Paths. It was around 4 p.m. by the time Rinji got home. When Hayasaka first offered to work as a maid at his place, Rinji had given her a spare key so she could come and go even when he wasn't home. Although there wasn't much for her to do at his house, Rinji's intention was simple. Monday to Thursday she worked tirelessly at Kaguya's place, so Friday through Sunday she could come here to relax. That was just Rinji's interpretation though. As soon as he approached his door, he noticed all kinds of equipment piled outside. Power drills, wires, steel plates. Everything you'd expect to find in a hardware store was there. Looking at the tools stacked outside his house, Rinji immediately opened the door and stepped inside, only to find Hayasaka wielding a welding torch at the entrance of his bedroom, bright sparks flying everywhere. Hayasaka, what are you doing? You're back, Rinji? Hayasaka lifted her welding mask and took off her gloves. Give me a moment, I'm almost done. No. I mean, what exactly are you doing? Rinji blinked, confused. He knew Hayasaka had returned to fetch some equipment. But he had no idea what kind of equipment. And now it looked like she was setting up something serious. Just adding a few anti-theft measures. Oh, I see. Anti-theft. Rinji quickly accepted her explanation. From his perspective, it wasn't strange to install traps or landmines in case of surprise attacks. But since Seiger-kan forbade him from rigging his own house with danger, he hadn't installed anything. But if Hayasaka was doing it? Well, that had nothing to do with him. If Aunt Kana complained, he'd just say it wasn't his doing. I think it's great. You have a strong sense of home security. Rinji nodded approvingly. So, what modifications did you make? I changed your bedroom lock. Hayasaka jiggled the new doorknob, revealing a dual security system that required both a password and a key to unlock. The password had 12 digits, and the key was a complex 3-dimensional structure. Where exactly did you get all this stuff? Rinji glanced from the new lock to the array of tools outside. They definitely weren't things you could pick up at your local shop. Back when I worked as Kaguya-sama's personal assistant, I made some connections. I got these from trusted sources. I see. Also, Kaguya-sama mentioned your weekend habits, so I thought enhanced security was necessary. Wait, what did she say? Rinji. We're here. It was Saturday night. Karura was coming over for dinner and to stay until the next morning. As Rinji's girlfriend, her arrival was always welcome. He would cook something nice for them to enjoy together. Only. Rinji, I came too. Rinji. Almost every time Karura showed up, Fujui would also arrive. Look, I don't mind you coming over. But do you have to arrive at exactly the same time as Karura? Rinji squinted. Can't you just give me and my girlfriend some private time? What's the big deal? Even if you two had alone time, nothing would happen anyway. So I might as well come too. Fujue licked her lips. With two people, don't you have even more play options? I have no idea what you're talking about. Rinji turned around and brought out a steaming plate of food. Huh? Eyes here too? Karura looked around and spotted Hayasaka, who was standing quietly in a maid outfit. Yes, I'll be working here as Rinji's maid these next few days. Expressionless, Hayasaka gave Karura a polite bow. Wow. Ai's outfit is so cute. Is that a maid uniform? Karura bounced up and excitedly examined her. Oddly enough, Karura didn't seem the least bit bothered by another pretty woman being in Rinji's house. Seeing the adorable girl clinging to her side, Hayasaka couldn't help herself. She gently patted Karura's head. Despite technically being rivals, she found it impossible to dislike the girl. Oh. A maid, huh? Fujue sidled up beside Hayasaka, sizing her up with a smirk. So that's your move? Nothing. Just that it's a pretty solid plan. Fujue leaned in and whispered by her ear. Looks like you've got a strategy of your own. I do. Hayasaka knew exactly what Fujue was insinuating and casually admitted it. But my purpose here isn't just what you're thinking. Huh? As they chatted, Rinji had already brought out all the food. The four of them enjoyed a delicious and hearty dinner. During the meal, Fujue asked Hayasaka, do you come at regular times? Yes. I'm here from Friday to Sunday every week. I see. From Fujue's perspective, the best time for Hayasaka to act would be outside the weekend. Any day except Saturday and Sunday. That way she could avoid overlapping with Karura. But Hayasaka deliberately chose the same schedule. By the way, do you have to wear the maid uniform? Of course. I am a maid, after all. I looks adorable in that outfit. Karura giggled. Thank you. After dinner, Rinji did the dishes, with Hayasaka volunteering to help. Later, the four of them sat on the couch to watch TV. Before long, it was already 10 p.m. Stretching his arms, Rinji got up and said, I'm going to bed. You guys should watch the time too, don't stay up too late. He turned to Fujue. And I have to get up early tomorrow, so no night raids, okay? Of course. Fujue responded sweetly. Closing the door, Rinji returned to his room to sleep. A while later, Hayasaka stood up. I'm going out to buy some snacks. Karura, Fujue, do you want anything? Karura, I'll go with you. No need. I'm the maid, so doing errands is part of the job. Then. Ice cream. Fujue, bring back some chips. Okay. Hayasaka nodded and headed for the door. Just as she opened it, she paused. I'll be out for about an hour. During that time, it'll be just you two here. You'll just be watching TV, right? Of course. I mean, just watching TV. No weird stuff, right? Right. Fujue replied with a smile. Good. Hayasaka gave a faint smile, stepped out, and closed the door behind her. As soon as she left, Fujue nudged Karura with her elbow. Karura, time to act. Eh? But Renji said he's busy tomorrow. What are you thinking? Making a baby is the top priority. We failed the last few times, but this time we have to succeed. Fujue crept to Renji's bedroom door. He should be asleep by now. If we sneak in now. Huh? Who changed the lock? At the same time, at the complex entrance. Leaning against a wall, Hayasaka smirked. A small earpiece was tucked in her ear, allowing her to hear every word Fujue said. Chapter 360, Killer vs. Maid. Damn it, why'd he suddenly change the lock today? Fujue rattled the doorknob. It was completely locked. Unlike the old single-key lock, this new one was a dual system, a cross-shaped 3D keyhole plus a password. No standard lock-picking technique would work here. She used to open Renji's simple lock easily. It was nothing for someone in the assassin business like her. But this one? Without proper tools, it was impossible. Renji changed the lock? Karura curiously walked over. Sure enough, the door lock on Renji's room was different from before. Probably because I've snuck in too many times. Even if I never succeeded, it must have raised his guard. Fujue frowned. But seriously, two cute girls trying to do that with him and he still stays alert? Is he some kind of ascetic? I don't really get it. Karura replied simply. Her thinking was straightforward. She just wanted to have a baby with Renji. She didn't think too deeply about other things. Wait. Fujue suddenly realized something. Today wasn't like the usual times when it was just the two of them and Renji. There was someone else, Hayasaka. That lock. It must have been installed by the maid. By I? Garuda tilted her head. Why? Because she doesn't want us getting involved with Renji. Huh? But doesn't she like Renji too? Exactly. That's why she wants to stop us. That's strange. Karura said, confused. Wouldn't it make more sense for her to work with us then? I don't think she's the strange one. Fujui was very aware that her thinking, as part of the Cure family, didn't align with normal people. Still, she was certain Hayasaka was behind this. The goal was clearly to stop them from making a move first. And since the lock had been replaced so openly, it had to mean Renji allowed it. Karura, do you remember that gang boss we killed together last year? He also locked himself behind a weird reinforced door. Yeah. Karura recalled the incident. That guy locked himself in a heavily guarded room with his men outside. We took out his guards first, then crawled through the air ducts and strangled him. Exactly. So. They both looked up at the ceiling. But I think the air ducts in this building are too small for us. Yeah. Then let's come up with something else. Forced entry? That'll definitely wake him. And I didn't bring any knockout drugs today. Fujui shook her head. That won't work. Karura fell into thought, then returned to the guest room, opened the window, and glanced up at the rooftop. After gauging the distance, she ran to the storage room. What are you doing? Found it. Karura smiled, pulling out a black rope with a claw-like grappling hook at the end. We'll rappel down and open the window from outside. Ah, so Renji's place even has gear like this. Fujui grinned. Humphrey. That little maid really thought she could stop us just by changing the lock? How naive. Without another word, they grabbed the rope and headed straight for the rooftop. They had to sneak into Renji's room before Hayasaka returned. Thank you for your purchase. At a nearby convenience store, Hayasaka, still dressed in her maid outfit, walked back with a plastic bag full of snacks. The earpiece in her ear was still active. She'd heard everything that had happened at home. Unfortunately for you two, I've known for a long time that you're assassins. And I already anticipated you'd try rebelling. Hayasaka said coldly. She had fully investigated Fujui and Karura's backgrounds, including the tactics they might use. That was why she didn't just change the lock. She'd made many other modifications. And it was exactly why she chose this timing to stay at Renji's home. Alright, I'll go down first and check things out. On the rooftop, Fujui pulled the rope harness around her waist tighter and turned to Karura. I'll signal you once I get the window open, then you can come down. Okay. Here I go. After a quick glance at the height, Fujui stepped off and rappelled down, her feet pressing lightly against the side of the building as she descended toward Renji's window. Karura watched from the rooftop as Fujui carefully made her way down. But once she reached the window, Fujui simply stared at it. No signal. Instead, she began climbing back up slowly. How'd it go? Failed. The window lock was changed too. Not just that, it's reinforced anti-theft glass now. Pretty thorough, huh? I'm back. At 10 p.m., Hayasaka returned. The moment she entered, she saw Fujui and Karura sitting on the sofa, both lost in thought. Without a word, she placed the snacks on the table, leaned back, and said to them, I trust you didn't do anything while I was gone. We did a lot, but ran into obstacles. I see. Hey, let's make a deal. Fujui turned to her. No. Hayasaka pulled out a bottle of coffee from the bag and rejected her instantly. I haven't even said what the deal is yet. I don't need to hear it to know. Hayasaka sipped her coffee, her tone calm. Renji wouldn't want you two doing that. Forcing it will only make him hate you. Then how about a negotiation? Fujui considered for a moment. Give us the key and password, and we'll let you go in first. That's our biggest concession. You get to go enjoy him first. You sound like a total creep. I'm not forcing Renji to do anything. I don't want to be hated either. I just want to tempt him a little. But I need to get into the room first. So? Do you agree? I refuse. Chapter 361, Meeting the Parents? Morning sunlight streamed into the room. Outside, birds chirped faintly, mixed with the occasional honk of a car. Beep. Click. The sound of a code and key unlocking the door echoed as Hayasaka entered Renji's room in her maid outfit, gently closing the door behind her. She stood for a moment, watching Renji curled under his blanket. Then she walked over and softly shook him. Renji, time to wake up. Still half asleep, Renji frowned, wrapped himself even tighter in his blanket like a cocoon, and went back to sleep. Geez. Such a sleepyhead. Hayasaka smiled warmly and slowly climbed onto the bed. She leaned close to his ear and blew a warm breath. Master, do you need a wake-up kiss? Okay, I'm up. Renji sat up, resigned, rubbing his sleepy eyes. What a shame. I wanted to try that gal game wake-up route. There are normal ways to wake someone, you know. He yawned, looking wearily at her face, now inches away. It's still early, isn't it? It's already 8 o'clock. Didn't you say you had something to do today? Oh right. I did. Renji got out of bed. Still in his pajamas, he turned to find Hayasaka stepping up and grabbing his collar, starting to unbutton his shirt. What are you doing? Helping you change clothes. No. I can handle that myself. But that's part of a maid's duties. Hayasaka said seriously. It's true. You can look it up online. Still, I can at least do this myself. Let me feel like a real maid, just a little. Without waiting for another word, Hayasaka had already pulled his shirt off. After taking off his shirt, Renji's upper body was completely exposed in front of Hayasaka. Contrary to how he looked in clothes, his physique wasn't thin at all. His muscles were well proportioned with refined lines. The only flaw was a scar on his abdomen that looked like it had come from a knife. Hayasaka stared at Renji's body for quite a while, her hands pausing. Hayasaka, what are you staring at? I heard you joined Ace Combat Division at 12. Looks like you got seriously hurt over there too. Hayasaka murmured, her slender hand gently touching the scar on his abdomen. Oh, that? Renji looked down at the scar and smiled. That wasn't from the battlefield. Huh? It wasn't? Nope. I got that before I even came to Japan. When I was still under 12. Renji explained. It happened during a fight with my old man. Your relationship with your dad was that bad? No, not at all. We were really close. I just wasn't mentally stable back then and would act out sometimes. One time we got into a fight, but I don't even remember what triggered it. Rubbing the back of his head, Renji gave an embarrassed laugh. My old man gave me a non-lethal wound to stop me, and I ended up giving him some injuries too. But it wasn't a big deal. That afternoon we still happily went to see a movie. What a bizarre father-son relationship. Hayasaka didn't press further. She simply took out a change of clothes from the wardrobe and helped Renji put on a shirt. Now take your pants off. I can do that myself, seriously. As usual, breakfast was cooked by Renji. After Hayasaka woke up Kurura and Fujui, they all sat at the table and ate together. Not bad. You two were really well behaved yesterday. You didn't sneak into my room, so I actually had a good night's sleep. Renji said while eating. Fujui. It wasn't that they didn't want to sneak in. They were stopped. Karura glanced at the time on her phone and turned to Renji. Renji, are we heading out together this morning? Yup. You told your clan about today's plans, right? Yep. Grandpa's sending a few people over. Karura smiled. My mom, dad, and little brother will be here too. Great. I'll host them properly while they're in Tokyo. Hayasaka pricked up her ears, feigning curiosity. Is this like meeting the parents? Pretty much, though I've already met Karura's great-grandfather. Renji replied with a smile. This time it's mainly about the gift I gave Karura. That gift, suggested by Ishigami and some chaotic netizens, was a full-paid office building in a prime location in Tokyo. Renji figured it was a safe bet as a present. Karura could do whatever she wanted with it. Convert it into something else, use it for work, or just keep it. Of course, the building was also packed with weapons. Everything from swords and guns to cruise missiles. With gear like that, Karura would be safer during her missions. The day after he gave her the gift, he told Karura, who happily informed her great-grandfather, Cure Irio. Then, the Cure clan contacted Renji, asking if they could use a floor in the building as a Tokyo base. Technically, it was a gift for Karura, so Renji didn't agree right away. He asked Karura how she felt about it. They eventually decided to give the Cure clan the first floor, while the rest remained under Karura's control. And so, today was the handover. Come to think of it, I haven't met your parents yet. Renji said, lowering his head in thought. What are they like? It was the first time meeting the parents, so Renji was understandably nervous. They're really nice. I'm sure they'll like you. Karura said with her usual bright smile. She knew her family well. All right. After finishing breakfast, Renji stood and adjusted his collar. Let's go. Don't want to keep them waiting. Chapter 362, The Problem That Existed from the Start. Shibuya, located between Minato and Setagaya in Tokyo, is one of the 6 central wards, alongside Minato, Chiyoda, Shinjuku, Bunkyo, and Chuo. It's not only a bustling hotspot but also the origin of many fashion trends. And right in the heart of Shibuya stood a 30-story office building. Renji's extravagant gift to Garuda. As for how much it cost, Renji honestly didn't remember. He just knew there were a lot of zeros involved. A sedan pulled into the parking lot outside the building. Renji, now in casual clothes, and Garuda, still wearing her black sailor uniform, stepped out. "We're here. Are your parents already upstairs?" "Yeah. They're on the 15th floor now." "Got it." As they entered the building, the security guards didn't stop them. They knew who Rinji and Garuda were. The guards had black sclera, a clear sign they were part of the Wu clan. On the second day after Garuda received the building, members of the Wu clan were already stationed there. The elevator rose steadily until it stopped at the 15th floor. Since the building was newly bought, it was mostly empty. Just some carpeted flooring and a few simple desks. When they stepped out and turned the corner into an office space, several Wu clan members were already waiting. At the center sat Wu Hilang, supporting his frail frame with a cane. Surrounding him were several members of the clan. The most eye-catching among them was a beautiful woman in a kimono who looked under 30 and always had her eyes narrowed, and a middle-aged man in a suit. What made the middle-aged man stand out was that he was the only one in the group without black sclera. He had normal human eyes. Rinji had seen most of the Cure clan before. Names like Cure Horyo, Cure Hollis, whom he encountered during Kengan matches. Even Cure Ryan was there. "Grandpa." Seeing Iryo, Karura cheerfully ran up to him. "Oh, Karura, you're here. Have you been happy lately?" The old man's stern face instantly softened upon seeing Karura. "Of course. Especially on weekends when I stay over at Rinji's house." That's so." Though Iryo was smiling and patting Karura's head, his heart was clearly breaking. "Yeah, I'm really happy when Karura stays at my place too." "You brat, no one asked you." "Huh? It's been so long, and you still haven't accepted it?" "Shut up." Iryo buried his face in his hands, crying like a stubborn child despite being nearly 100 years old. "My adorable great-granddaughter Karura used to always return to the clan home on weekends. Now she never comes back and runs to your place every weekend. Curse you. Don't you have anything to say, brat?" Oh my ass. If you're always this mad, there's nothing I can do. Kids eventually leave the nest," Rinji said, watching Iryo turn purple with rage. "Why not think about something happy?" "Like what?" "Like when Karura and I get married." PFT. Iryo spat out blood. "Please calm down, grandfather." The beautiful woman in the purple kimono smiled as she consoled the blood-spitting elder. As Rinji said, "Children do leave someday." "Ugh. Yakusha, Karura's getting married." There. After comforting him, she turned toward Rinji and smiled at the blonde youth. "Hello, Rinji. It's okay to call you that, right?" "Of course. Are you Karura's mother?" "Yes. My name is Kure Yakusha. I'm currently a teacher at Koya Girls Academy," she said with a smile. "I actually heard about you from some of my students at the gym." "Huh?" Rinji paused, then remembered. It had been a while since he last visited the gym. 2 of the girls he met back then were from Koyo. "They even showed me your photo. Said it's been ages since you last went." "Yeah. I've been busy." Between student council work and other side matters, Rinji had pretty much stopped going. He had even forgotten he had a membership. "I also watched some of your matches." Yakusha smiled. "You're really strong. No wonder Karura likes you." Overall, Yakusha seemed very satisfied with her prospective son-in-law. Whether in terms of wealth, power, or strength, Rinji was top tier. Practically perfect? But this also presented a problem. "Hello, can I call you Rinji as well?" asked the middle-aged man. "Of course. Are you Karura's father?" "Yes. I'm Cure Hanjiro," he replied. He wasn't originally part of the Cure clan. Just a former elite hitman. After marrying Cure Yakusha, he took her family name and joined the clan. After all, marrying into the Cure clan, especially into the direct line of the clan head, required the man to take the wife's name. And that's the issue Rinji would have to face. Karura was the great-granddaughter of the clan head. Marrying her meant he would be expected to take the Cure name too. But Rinji wasn't an ordinary man. His background and power dwarfed even the Cure clans. So there was no way he'd marry into their family like a traditional groom. Cough, aside from settling the handover for the office floor. Iryo cleared his throat. "There's one more thing I wanted to discuss with you." "What is it?" "Since you're going to be Karura's future husband, that makes you the future head of the Cure clan too." At this point, Iryo's expression turned serious. "You should know. Cure clan's head can't have a different surname." Rinji was silent for a moment, then let out a light laugh. "If it's for Karura, I wouldn't mind giving up everything to be with her. In that case. But if you're talking about marrying into your clan, forget it." Rinji smiled. "There's no way I'd change my surname. I'm Takumin now, and I'll always be Takumin." "I see." It was as if Iryo had already expected this answer. He slowly stood up from his chair, his gaze turning menacing. His skin began to turn purple, bulging veins covering it as killing intent poured out. Then what if I refuse to approve your relationship with Karura? Refuse? As if he'd heard a joke, Rinji chuckled coldly, his pupils quickly turning crimson. You can try. In an instant, the previously peaceful atmosphere turned chilling and oppressive. Chapter 363, Ruthless Methods. The previously relaxed environment had now become filled with hostility. The Cure clan members standing nearby could clearly feel the immense killing intent radiating from both Ryo and Rinji. Everyone became tense. Except Ryan, who looked like he was enjoying the show. You took my adorable great-granddaughter and think you don't need to pay any price? Such laughable words. Rinji sneered. I thought you were the one most aware of the situation. Are you getting senile? Karura likes me, and I like her. That's enough. Got it? I like Karura. Not the rest of your entire Cure clan. If you want Karura, you'll have to marry into the clan. That's been the rule of the Cure clan since ancient times. Ryo stood firm. Of course he knew who Takeman Rinji really was. More than anyone else. But even so, some things were non-negotiable. Karura was the most talented girl in the Cure clan. Never mind how doting Ryo was as her great-grandfather. Letting their bloodline flow outward was simply unacceptable by clan rules. I thought I made myself clear. I only care about Karura. Your whole Cure clan is just extra baggage. As Rinji spoke, the crimson light in his eyes grew sharper. Or would you rather I destroy the Cure clan and take Karura by force? Ryo understood clearly. This wasn't a joke. Even if his current school life had calmed Rinji down quite a bit, some things didn't change. Like his inherent arrogance. To Rinji, only Karura mattered. The Cure clan was just a side note. If they didn't cause trouble, he'd be generous for Karura's sake. But if they got in the way, he'd eliminate them without hesitation. He wouldn't go easy on them just because they were Karura's family. To him, they were just extra. So arrogant, you damn brat. Don't you know your place, old man? As their murderous aura clashed, it felt like a battle could erupt at any moment. No one dared intervene. Until Karura suddenly stepped between them. Grandpa, Rinji, no fighting. Karura puffed her cheeks in protest. At her words, both Ryo and Rinji instantly retracted their killing intent like nothing had happened. Ah, Karura, how could Grandpa possibly fight with that brat? Ryo immediately put on a kindly smile. Exactly. I'd never fight with your great-grandfather. Rinji also smiled. Their quick shift in attitude left the onlookers stunned. Karura, listen to me. This little brat. Karura, your grandpa doesn't seem to approve of our marriage. Before Ryo could finish, Rinji beat him to the punch. Huh? Karura stepped back and looked at her great-grandfather in disbelief. Grandpa. You don't approve of me and Rinji being together? And no. That's not it. Ryo panicked. If you do, I'll hate you, Grandpa. Hate you. Hate. Thud. Ryo dropped to his knees and began bawling. Wah. You damn brat, using such a cruel tactic. You're despicable. I didn't lie. Weren't you the one who said you didn't approve first? Despicable. Cure Hanjiro watched his grandfather-in-law sobbing on the floor like a child. Turning to his always smiling wife Yakusha, he asked, is it really okay for Grandpa to be like this? It's totally fine. Yakusha replied with a smile. There are no outsiders here, so it's not embarrassing. And just like that, the farce ended the moment Karura backstabbed Ryo. As usual, Rinji ignored the sobbing old man and proceeded to sign the transfer documents for the office building with one of the higher-ranked Cure clan members, Cure Horyo. Thanks for your cooperation, Mr. Takeman. Not at all. Just mutual benefit. Rinji smiled. But from now on, if you want anything signed, go to Karura. The whole building belongs to her. Understood. You really spoil Karura, huh? Yakusha said with a smile, watching Rinji and her daughter clinging to his arm with a blissful face. It seemed that Ryo was the only one in the whole clan who didn't like Rinji. Everyone else was quite satisfied with him. Can I ask you something? What is it? When do you and Karura plan to have a baby? For once, the usually composed Rinji blushed. We're still high school students. Isn't it a bit too early for that kind of thing? There's nothing wrong with it. Yakusha said with a gentle smile. I gave birth to Karura when I was her age. Huh? Rinji blinked and looked at Yakusha, then turned to Hanjiro. Hanjiro awkwardly averted his eyes. It wasn't like he had much choice. Most women in the Cure clan had one goal, to have a child with someone strong. Back then, Yakusha was just a high schooler when she met the already strong assassin Hanjiro, who was in his 20s. They married, and she had a child early. Why so early? Because even if Hanjiro was strong, he was still just an ordinary human. And thus no match for a Cure clan woman. The rest was self-explanatory. If Rinji had been weaker, Karura would probably already be on maternity leave by now. After signing the documents, Rinji made plans to have lunch with Karura's parents before leaving. But before he left, he found Ryan. Ryan, I need to talk to you. Huh? You wanna fight me? Ryan grinned maniacally. He was itching for another fight with Rinji. He knew he'd lose, but he loved the thrill of battle. No. I wanted to ask if you could tell your sister to stop randomly coming to my place. Rinji sighed. Lately I barely get alone time with Karura. I can't help you there. You little. Chapter 364, A Lack of Common Sense in a Western-style restaurant in Shibuya. Rinji and Karura were having lunch with her family. In addition to her parents, Karura's younger brother was also there. His name was Sarla, a middle school boy. Brother-in-law, you're amazing. Snatching my sister from that mentally ill great-granddaughter-obsessed old freak. He said while sipping his drink. Ah, you flatter me, little brother. It was nothing. Rinji smiled back at Sarla. Despite being a middle schooler, as a member of the Cure clan, Sarla was already an independent assassin. A whole family. Or rather, a whole clan of assassins. That was pretty rare. I heard about you before, brother-in-law. Sarla grinned. The first time I heard your name was 4 years ago. Apparently, you held off our entire clan by yourself until great-grandpa cancelled the order. That was ages ago. I was just a clueless brat back then. Honestly, the conflict with your clan was more like a small scuffle. It really was a small scuffle. None of the Cure clan members who had came to kill Rinji back then died. All thanks to his bet with Fujui. So, little brother, you satisfied with your brother-in-law? Of course. You're strong, and more importantly, rich. Good taste. Yakusha, elegantly cutting her steak in her lavender kimono, smiled. Rinji, are you free during winter break? Of course. Winter break in Japanese schools usually starts just before Christmas and runs through January. Even though Japan doesn't observe Chinese New Year, Rinji didn't care. When the time came, he would definitely go home to celebrate. That meant Rinji's winter break would begin with the school holiday and last until February. If you're free during winter break, you should visit the base of the Cure clan. Yakusha said with a smile. You're Karura's boyfriend, after all. It's about time you came to visit. Of course, no problem. I'll come as soon as the break starts. Oh right. Just be careful once you're there. Seeing the confusion on Rinji's face, Yakusha's smile deepened. Her eyes, usually squinted, opened slightly to reveal black sclera. You know, no matter how normal they seem, Cure clan women have absolutely no resistance to strong men. A handsome, powerful, and young guy like you. Well, once you step foot in the base, don't be surprised if a whole group of women start plotting things. Huh? Getting night raided a dozen times a night is a common thing. Wait. Better bring some stamina pills before you go, or you might not survive. Hold on, I'm already Karura's boyfriend. We're going to get married. Knowing that, would they really still make a move? They won't care about things like that. Just how broken are your clan's ethics? Rinji rubbed his temples, starting to reconsider the idea of visiting the Cure clan's base. But speaking of their base, I remember your clan's base is pretty far from Tokyo, right? Yeah, it's near Kyoto. Kyoto, huh? That's where the main house of the Shinomiya family was. If he went there, there'd probably be a conflict with them. And whether someone would die. Well, who knew? When it came to the Shinomiya family, Rinji wasn't always good at suppressing his killing intent. He glanced at Karura, who was leaning on him, and asked, by the way, Karura, you attend high school in Tokyo, right? Yup. That's good. I thought you were traveling back and forth from Kyoto every time. That'd be a bit far. Mine's pretty close, but it's not that convenient for Fujui. She said. Her university is in Shizuoka, which is a bit far from Tokyo. Why the hell is she so diligent? No idea why Fujui would spend hours on the Shinkansen just to come here. I'm home. Rinji opened the door and walked into his house. Welcome back. Wearing her maid uniform, Hayasaka was sweeping the floor. The house was already quite clean. Karura's not back yet. Nope, she returned to her school. Her parents and brother also went back to Kyoto after lunch. Rinji sat down on the sofa. By the way, have you eaten yet? I'm not a kid anymore. I can handle lunch myself. Hayasaka replied. Though someone here still acts like a kid with no self-control. Hayasaka pointed toward the dining table, where Fujui was passed out, next to an empty cup and a wine jar. Seriously? You drank the wine I stole from home? Rinji walked over, took back the wine jar, and shook the sleeping Fujui with a frown. Fujui slowly opened her eyes, rubbed her tired lids, and saw Rinji. Oh, you're back. Did you meet everyone you needed to? Yeah. Including your punchable brother. Rinji sat across from her. So you really come here all the way from Shizuoka? Yup, I take the Shinkansen from Izu. Moved by my dedication yet? Not at all. Anyway, shouldn't you be heading back? It's Monday tomorrow. Don't you have class? No class in the morning, so I can go back later. Fujui yawned, then suddenly gave a sly smile. Say, Rinji, have you decided which university to apply for? Not yet. I'll just pick something easy and chill. Then why not come to mine? We'd be schoolmates. Your university. Sure, whatever. Most of his current student council friends would scatter after graduation. A few might do internal progression, but that'd include Kaguya and Fujiwara. The very people he didn't really want to deal with. He wasn't about to follow Shirogane to Stanford either. Going to the US would just mean another bloodbath. So which university are you in? I'll consider it. Seikai Women's University. Women's University? Yeah. For women? Yup. Do you enjoy messing with me this much? Chapter 365, The Slogan Yawn. Rinji sat up on his bed and stretched, still groggy as he walked out of his bedroom to wash up. As soon as he opened the door, he found Hayasaka standing there. Oh, you're awake already. I was just about to come wake you. I don't oversleep on school days. It was Monday. Back to school. Wu Fujui had gone back to her university the previous evening, while Hayasaka stayed because of her work arrangement. After washing his face and brushing his teeth, Rinji changed into his school uniform and went to the kitchen to make breakfast. Normally, he'd settle for a red bean bun, but with Hayasaka staying over, he had to prepare something more proper. Both now dressed in shuchin uniforms, they sat down to eat the sandwiches he'd quickly made. So we're heading to school together today. Yup. Going to school as a pair. Hayasaka nodded. She had once imagined doing this, but back then it felt like an impossible dream. Thanks to some unexpected twists, it had now become reality. Working at Renji's place didn't even feel like a job. The house was clean, she could sleep in as long as she wanted, had no chores, and even meals were cooked for her. Plus, every Monday, she got to walk to school with him. Compared to the harsh life she had under the Shinomiya family, this was paradise. You'll be working at the Shinomiya house through Thursday, right? Let's come back together after school on Friday. After breakfast, they grabbed their bags and headed out side by side toward school. Principal, I've brought back the photos you asked for. In the principal's office, Rinji returned the camera the principal had lent him. The previous Friday, the principal had given Rinji a task. To photograph students' daily lives at Shuchin Academy for the school magazine. Ah, thank you, Rinji-kun. The principal took the camera and began reviewing the photos. Nice shots, they really capture Shuchin's spirit. Though. Who's this girl hiding in the bushes with that devastated look? That's Shijo Maki from Class 2B. Looks like she got dumped. Rinji said. As they say, imperfect is youth, so this photo of her watching the guy she likes cuddle with her friend is perfect for the cover. Rinji had captured the perfect angle. Tanuma Tsubasa and Kashiwagi Nagiza embracing, with Shijo Maki peeking sorrowfully through the gap. It was practically art. Maybe not the cover. Publishing someone's heartbreak feels a bit too cruel. Fair enough. So I guess my job's done? Actually. There's one more thing. What is it? I'll handle the magazine layout and editing, but if you're free, could you help think of a tagline? Tagline? You know, promotional slogan. Something to attract students to apply to Shuchin. It'll go on the first page of the magazine. This school is filthy rich, has high deviation scores, and lets you meet heirs and heiresses of rich families, where you might get lucky and become a kept man or sugar baby. Too extreme. That wouldn't just kill enrollment. It'd destroy our reputation. Didn't your Pokemon hunting antics already do that? Ahem, anyway, I'm counting on you. Don't make it too explicit. If you're stuck, you can brainstorm with the student council. So, that's the situation. I need your help thinking up a slogan. At the student council room, Rinji explained the principal's request. A blank A4 sheet sat on the table, where the final slogan would be written. A slogan, huh? I see. Shirogane said, nodding thoughtfully. Shuchin's only real selling point is its high deviation value. Anything else? The school culture, maybe? That's not great either. Our reputation has taken a hit in recent years. Rinji said. These rich kids have caused all sorts of trouble. Local residents constantly complain about our students' poor behavior. If not for Ino-san's recent efforts, it'd be even worse. You flatter me. Ino said shyly, rubbing her hands together. Finally, someone recognized her hard work. That recognition meant everything to the often criticized Ano. Do you have any other ideas, President? Well. Shirogane looked up at the rest of the group. Anyone else got something? Kaguya, the school has a long history and plenty of funding. Ranji, there are lots of schools like that. Ishigami, the school has produced many famous people. Ranji, this school actually doesn't have that many truly well-known figures. Fujiwara, if it's about attracting new students, we can just put some student photos on the cover. Like who? Like me. Fujiwara said confidently. Just seeing your face pisses me off. Pass. After going around once, Rinji realized none of the suggestions were usable. Seriously? Kaguya looked at Rinji a bit disapprovingly. Just write a simple slogan introducing the school's features and encouraging enrollment. Rinji-kun, think about why you came to this school in the first place, then turn that reason into a slogan. Okay, I'll write I was forced to come to school. You think I willingly came to Shuchin Academy? Rinji said. If I hadn't been forced here, I'd still be in Afghanistan. Then. What made you stay? You guys. Eh? The reason I'm still at this school is because the student council is here. I'm still attending school because of you all. Even though those words sounded a bit extreme. Clearly stating he didn't come here to study. Everyone could still feel a warmth in Rinji's tone. He genuinely saw the student council as his companions. Fine. Since none of you can come up with anything, I'll just ask for help from the outside. Rinji pulled out his phone from his pocket and dialed a number. Coming up with slogans and such isn't my thing. Better to go straight to someone who's good at it. Ah, it's ringing. As he spoke, the call went through. Hello? Hello? Uncle Sagra? Rinji had called Zhuk Sagra. Oh, it's Rinji. Something wrong? Are you in trouble? Not really, nothing big. Rinji said. Uncle Sagra, are you busy right now? Not too busy. If there's a problem, feel free to say it. Sagra replied on the other end of the line. He was taking the call from the headquarters. Thing is, the school needs a slogan for a promotional brochure. Uncle, do you know how to write a slogan? A slogan, huh? Sagra's expression suddenly turned serious on the far-off island in the Western Pacific. A slogan is a very delicate matter. If written poorly, it could result in a talent drain. In severe cases, core talents might even defect to rival organizations. It must be handled seriously. Understood. Hearing that, Rinji's expression also turned serious. Listen up, Rinji. A slogan is part of information warfare. Never underestimate it. It holds the power to overturn a nation without a single soldier. Got it. Since it's promotional, you first need to stimulate external enthusiasm, get people to want to join the organization. But don't overemphasize the benefits, and you should hint at the dangers to filter out freeloaders. That makes sense. You can also use a bit of provocation to ensure the recruits have a certain toughness that regular people lack. Good point. Alright, I'll dictate the slogan. Just write it down. Thanks, Uncle Sagra. Rinji held the phone in one hand and a pen in the other, ready over a blank sheet of paper. As Sagra spoke, Rinji wrote. The others leaned in curiously to see what he was writing. On the paper, it read, "Let me make a declaration first. This school isn't for just anyone. Only those who pass a brutal entrance exam, the finest, those with the qualities of elite warriors, can step through this narrow gate. You have the right to choose. You can go to other high schools. Of course, you're also free to attend the coward and gambler-infested private Hyaku Academy. But if you want to become a true warrior, then choose Shuchin. I guarantee it. Each day will be filled with thrilling trials and adventures. Shuchin Academy's history dates back to the Edo period. Even after suffering multiple air raids from the U.S. military during World War II, its unparalleled resilience prevented total destruction. This was the result of the faculty and students' lone resistance. We carry on that tradition. Through tireless training and discipline, our school maintains the astonishing record of 0 student deaths in 3 centuries. Shuchin is the invincible high school chosen by the gods among countless others in Tokyo. Believe in your alma mater. Believe in your student council. Don't ask what the school can do for you. Ask what you can do for the school. Bring it on. Shuchin Academy seeks ambitious young people. Pain and hardship, all adversity will forge you into a strong warrior. No surprise it's Uncle Sagra. That was one hell of a slogan. Rinji said, nodding in satisfaction. Everyone else. Rewrite it. Chapter 366, A Bunch of Academic Pitches. Principal, what do you think? Come on, say something. I think. Rinji, could you rewrite it? The principal asked awkwardly. Are you messing with me? Rinji's gaze suddenly turned cold. No, no. I'm not teasing you at all. The principal frantically waved his hands. But the slogan you wrote probably can't be posted. Why? That slogan is awesome and you're saying it won't work? This is a school recruitment pamphlet for regular students who want to go to high school, Renji. It's recruitment, not military conscription. Is there a difference? The principal was at a loss for how to explain it to Renji. Principal, I've been at Shuchen for more than half a year now, right? Renji suddenly said. Ah. Yes. In that half year, I've constantly wanted to send you to Africa. Huh? Let's list your crimes. Renji raised a finger. You went hunting Pokemon during work hours. Fine, I won't bring that up. But for last semester's French exchange student welcome party, you only told us about it 1 week in advance. Principal, that was to test the student council president's crisis response skills. You wanted me to wear a dress for a promo shoot. Principal, I genuinely thought it would suit you. You sent me to private Hyaku Academy for a month. Principal, that couldn't be helped. With the mess you caused, parents were all sending complaints my way. So, Principal, pick a destination. Africa or the Middle East. Wait, Renji, let's talk this through. I don't think there's anything left to talk about. Renji said sharply. And about last semester's finals. My score was the same as Ino's, yet you ranked me second. But according to the alphabetical order of romanized names. Goodbye, Principal. Enjoy your trip. Wait. For the upcoming finals, I'll make sure the ranking is reordered. The principal said quickly. If scores are the same, you'll be ranked first. Really? Absolutely. I'll trust you this once. Renji didn't care much about grades, but seeing the principal's attitude so humble, he let it go. Final exams are the most important tests each term, measuring the student's overall progress. At Shuchen, students face 5 exams per semester, with finals being the most crucial. It determines whether they can enjoy their break in peace. During this time, everyone needed to review class content and prepare thoroughly to achieve their best possible performance. Only a few hours later, as Renji returned to the student council office after class, the atmosphere had completely shifted. Though everyone was calmly working at their desks, the tension in the air was palpable. Like they were silently hostile toward one another. What's wrong with all of you? You were all normal this morning. Renji asked. Nothing's wrong. Shirogane replied without looking up, busy writing at his desk. We're just the same as always. Really? Of course not. With finals approaching, the student council members were already sizing up their classmates as rivals to defeat. Not everyone was nervous though. Ishigami clearly didn't care, lounging on the sofa playing his Switch. Hey Ishigami, wanna hit the arcade after school? Sure. Renji wasn't nervous either. He already knew everything he needed to. Seeing Renji relaxing instead of studying, Ino, who was reading a book, spoke up. Exams are coming up soon. It'd be better if you spent a little time studying, Renji-kun. Doesn't matter. Grades aren't that important. And he meant it. Renji had matched Ino's scores in almost every test that semester. That said, he hadn't taken many exams in total, considering he was regularly forced to take leaves from school each semester. From the few tests he did attend, Renji had never really seen Ino as a rival. It was more like I showed up just because the school was holding exams. In terms of mindset, he wasn't much different from Ishigami. I see. Ino remained composed. I just hope you'll think a bit about your future and study more. I'd love to see the day you surpass me. That was a lie. The happiest person about Renji slacking off was her. She was so pleased her lips curled up without even realizing it. Currently, in the entire first year, only Renji had grades on par with hers. And he was the kind of guy who could get top scores without even studying. Ino, being the disciplinary committee member, had made plenty of enemies. So, she needed authority. And being first in the grade was the only way she could maintain that authority. If she ever lost that position, what she said would carry far less weight. So what she wanted most was for Renji's test results to be ranked below hers. Ideally, always below hers. Whatever. See you in the top 3 of the finals. Okay. Ishigami. So this is what it's like in the world of the strong? Ishigami definitely had the worst grades in the entire student council. Just look at the others. Shirogane was first in second year, Kaguya was second in second year, and both Renji and Ino were tied for first in first year. The student council was either first or second across the board. Ugh. The finals. Fujiwara said with a deeply troubled expression. I haven't even finished reviewing. I think I'm doomed this time. That was true. If someone who goofed off all the time didn't do badly in exams, that would be the real tragedy. Still, even with bad grades, Fujiwara was somewhere in the middle range. Ishigami, on the other hand, consistently hovered in the bottom 50 of the year. Hey, Ishigami. Renji suddenly remembered something and looked over at Ishigami, who was gaming. What? I'll help you review over the weekend before finals. Rinji said. Let's at least get your grades looking a bit more decent. Chapter 367, How did he get in? I'm asking you. How did things end up like this? Rinji said. He was currently at Kaguya's residence. To explain why he was suddenly there, we have to rewind a few hours. Back when students were still in school, Fujiwara suggested they take a group photo of the student council on the rooftop. Everyone agreed. In less than half a year, this student council would be dissolved. Shirogane was heading overseas for university, needing to leave for the US early to adapt. So, he wouldn't be president by then. Without Shirogane, it would be hard for the rest of them to gather in the same room again. So, they went up to the rooftop to take a commemorative photo. Kaguya wanted to use her old flip phone for the picture. She wanted to save that memory on her device. Then she fumbled and dropped the phone. That phone held countless photos of the student council. Her most treasured memories. Returning home utterly dejected, she found Hayasaka. Hayasaka could only bring her to a nearby repair shop to see what could be done. But the phone was several years old. That model had been discontinued long ago, and the shop couldn't repair it. The photos stored in it seemed doomed to vanish with the damage. Seeing Kaguya so crushed, Hayasaka thought of one person who might help Rinji. And so, sitting in the Shinomiya Mansion's guest room, Rinji stared blankly at the shattered phone on the table. This is a corporate-use custom model. Spare parts don't exist on the market anymore. And the memory chips cracked. Recovering the data would be nearly impossible. So, there's no hope? Kaguya asked, head bowed, eyes devoid of light. Rinji took a ring from his pocket, slipped it onto his finger, and gently stroked the broken surface of the phone. A flicker of electricity sparked. And the shattered phone suddenly looked good as new, like it had just been bought. Huh? It's fixed. Kaguya exclaimed and snatched it from his hand, pressing the power button. But nothing happened. The screen stayed black, like it had no battery. Phones are extremely complex. Even old models like this have chips. Rinji said. You know what a chip is, right? An integrated circuit, soldered in permanently. Unless I had all the blueprints from its initial design to development, there's no way to truly repair it. I see. It was just a fleeting moment of hope. I can't fix the memory unit that holds the data. Maybe my old man could, though. How much would it cost to have your dad repair it? Kaguya asked urgently. Just call him Mr. Muscle and he'll probably do it. He's easy to deal with. But he's rarely in Japan these days. I see. Rinji pocketed the phone. If all you want is to retrieve the data, I might be able to help. Huh? Really? Kaguya's eyes lit up again. I know a tech company. They've got some gear that might recover data from the memory chip. But fixing the phone itself is too much of a hassle. I'll just give you a new one. As long as the data's safe, that's fine. Great. Leave the rest to me. I'll bring you a new phone tomorrow. Thank you, Rinji-kun. Kaguya bowed deeply to him. After Rinji left the room, Kaguya let out a long sigh and sat back in her chair. That was such a relief, Kaguya-sama. Hayasaka said, standing behind her. You managed to keep the memories with the president intact. Yeah. Having recovered what was lost, Kaguya didn't even notice Hayasaka's teasing. She was just glad it was safe. Good thing Rinji was around. I used to think he was just dangerous, but turns out he's surprisingly helpful. After this, the dangerous guy in Kaguya's mind had been downgraded to good kid. He never hides his malice, but he's just as generous with his kindness. That's Rinji. Hayasaka said with a smile. By the way, how did you get Rinji into the mansion? I just made a call. And? Nothing else. When he came to the entrance, I opened the door. But. Kaguya frowned. The main house is extremely wary of Rinji. If he casually showed up at the mansion, someone would have sounded an alarm. Before summer break, the main house even stationed butlers and bodyguards here. How did he get in without being noticed? The two of them suddenly realized something and rushed to the entrance, throwing open the main door. In the garden outside, the lush green lawn was splattered with blood. All the guards and the butler were unconscious, scattered like fallen leaves. Clearly, Rinji had walked into the mansion openly, knocking out everyone who tried to stop him along the way. Kaguya. I knew it. Just when she'd started thinking of Rinji as a good kid, he was back to being a dangerous individual in her eyes. The next day, Shinomiya, here's your new phone. Oh, thank you. The moment Rinji entered the student council office, he tossed the new phone to Kaguya. It wasn't the same old flip phone model anymore, but a standard modern smartphone anyone could buy. Huh? Kaguya, you got a new phone? Fujiwara asked, surprised. Yes, I did. Kaguya said with a smile. She quickly opened the gallery. and saw all the old student council photos still intact. Rinji had kept his word and fully restored the data from the broken phone. Welcome to the modern era. Fujiwara grinned. Now that you've got a smartphone, let's add each other online. Sure, sounds good. Kaguya smiled, but her eyes drifted toward Shirogane. President, I've got a smartphone now too. Isn't this a good time to add me online? Then maybe, just maybe. Oh, no need to go through all that. Rinji cut in. When I imported the data from her old phone, I also installed Line for Shinomiya and added all the student council members. Just change the password later. Kaguya. Chapter 368, The Student Council's Chaotic Group Chat. This smartphone's actually pretty handy. I'm amazed you held on to that flip phone this long, Kaguya-sama. At the Shinomiya estate, Hayasaka was fiddling with her phone while Kaguya, now in her pajamas, lay on her bed staring at her screen. She was in the group chat. Before handing over the new phone, Rinji had already installed Line and added all the student council members as friends, then put them in a group chat. The group had all 6 members. I understand it's new and exciting to use a smartphone for the first time. But you've been staring at that screen for 2 hours now. Hayasaka said flatly. Since coming home, Kaguya had collapsed onto her bed and hadn't moved, doing nothing else but staring at the screen. She hadn't even sent a single message. She really just wanted to see what the others usually talked about in the group. Because she had been using an old-style flip phone, Kaguya was completely unable to install or use Line, which had left her feeling a bit excluded. Ah, they sent a message. Shirogane Miyuki, Shinomiya, getting used to using a smartphone? Shirogane Miyuki, hey sticker, Kaguya Shinomiya. What should I reply to this? Hayasaka I, just respond with something casual. Shirogane had posted in the group chat, not through a private message. Because if he messaged Kaguya privately, he figured she'd probably reply with something like, you went out of your way to DM me even though we have a group chat? Trying to hide our conversation? That's kind of cute. So he chose to post in the group. Rinji's earlier setup had not only ruined Kaguya's little fantasy, but also inadvertently made things awkward for Shirogane. Since it wasn't a private chat, Kaguya had no reason to play hard to get. She just replied straightforwardly, Kaguya Shinomiya, I've gotten a little used to it after exploring the features. I'm fine now, Fujiwara Chika, look, my glasses fogged up. Attaches a silly selfie of her eating noodles with fogged glasses. Kaguya chose not to reply to Chika. Yako, this is Anomiko, welcome, Shinomiya-senpai. So glad you're using a smartphone now. Looking forward to staying in touch, a simple message, yet filled with emoji and cute text decorations. Kaguya Shinomiya. So this is what I know is like online? Ishigami Yu, I'm Ishigami, nice to meet you. Attaches a funny meme, Kaguya, everyone seems so different in the chat. Maybe even before she joined, the atmosphere in the group had always been so cheerful. Thinking that, she couldn't help but smile. The laid-back energy in the group was surprisingly nice. A few minutes later, the messages continued. Macho Man, Rinji, acting reckless. GIF, Macho Man, Rinji, acting reckless. GIF, Macho Man, Rinji, acting reckless. GIF, Shirogane Miyuki, ha 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 ha, Ishigami Yu, this is killing me, Fujiwara Chika, WW, Kaguya. What are they even talking about? Everyone except Kaguya was already familiar with Rinji's line antics. His phone was full of ridiculous stickers and memes, and he often flooded the chat with them. But as a sheltered young lady, Kaguya had no idea about any of that. Macho Man, Rinji, haven't played that in a while, Ishigami Yu, let's give it a go, Shirogane Miyuki, sure, who's starting? Macho Man, Rinji, Creeper? Shirogane Miyuki, all man, Fujiwara Chika, so we back in the mine, Ishigami Yu, got our pickaxe swinging from side to side, Yako, side to side, Kaguya. She was totally lost. Even though she had joined the group, she still felt left out. Kaguya Shinomiya, what are you guys talking about? Macho Man, Rinji, TCH. Look what you've done, Kaguya Shinomiya, eh? Ishigami Yu, senpai doesn't get our vibe at all, Kaguya. Feeling wrongfully blamed, Kaguya turned around on her bed and looked pitifully at Hayasaka. Hayasaka. I'm being excluded. Even though Kaguya didn't understand, Hayasaka certainly did. Creeper referred to the Minecraft mob. Some foreign players had made a parody song called Revenge that became a meme. People would type the lyrics in sequence, and if someone messed up, everyone would react, starting over from Creeper. Like a group sing-along. Pointless, but weirdly fun. Just type out the lyrics. Hayasaka said. Huh? That's it? Kaguya immediately turned back to her phone. That's easy. Wait. Before Hayasaka could finish explaining, the group chat had already restarted. Macho Man, Renji, Creeper, Kaguya Shinomiya, as I walk, as I dance. Japanese song lyric, Macho Man, Renji, fuck, eh? Watching Kaguya panic, Hayasaka covered her face with her hand. Shirogane Miyuki, forget it. Shinomiya probably doesn't know this. Let's change the topic, Yako, that's all we can do, Kaguya Shinomiya, sorry about that, Macho Man, Renji, then I'll start a new topic. I bet everyone's interested, Fujiwara Chika, go ahead. If it's about love even better. Tell us about your girlfriend, Macho Man, Renji, alright, I'll go, Shirogane Miyuki, please, Macho Man, Renji, how's everyone doing with studying for finals? The next hour, Kaguya stared at her screen, but not a single person replied. There was no doubt who the loser of the day was. Chapter 369, Before Finals. Try to focus a little, Ishigami. Renji, I'm doing the thing I hate and suck at the most right now. Look, with your grades, you won't even make it into an internal senior year placement. If you keep failing, you'll be forced to take outside college entrance exams. You really want to just pick some random university? What's wrong with that? The problem is you probably won't even pass those. Renji said. Then I'll just be a shut-in at home. Ishigami's family ran a toy company. His father was the CEO. Besides his parents, Ishigami also had an older brother, who was the exact opposite of him. Excellent in everything, and likely to inherit the company. Lying on the desk, Ishigami turned to look at Renji. Do you have plans for the future? Yeah. After graduating college, I'll go back to the countryside and farm. Grow some crops, raise some animals. What a simple and honest dream. You're young and already planning for retirement. If I don't retire, the world might not remain peaceful for long. Renji said as he patted Ishigami's shoulder. Now get back to studying. I can't focus. Even if you can't, just sit down and do it. You know I was supposed to go on a date with Karura this weekend, right? I cancelled it just to help you study. So don't waste my sacrifice. Then go on the damn date. Who doesn't go out when they have a girlfriend? Who do you think I'm doing this for? Now get studying. Renji said coldly. If you don't rank within the top 150 this time, I'll lace the entire school with laxatives during the next finals. So don't waste my effort. Hit the books. Alright. Under Renji's oppressive pressure, Ishigami could only sit up and resume studying. Last semester, after getting Renji's tutoring, Ishigami had barely made it to rank 147. But since Renji hadn't helped him at all this semester, he had dropped back to the bottom ranks. Today, when Renji said he was going to tutor him, Ishigami knew he couldn't escape. His family, especially his dad, was thrilled to have Renji help. Every time he came over, they even helped hold Ishigami down to make him study. No escape meant submission. Still, has anyone else ever experienced this? When you haven't touched a textbook all semester, reviewing for finals feels like reading an alien language. For this question, you just need to apply the formula. Hey, Ishigami, don't lie down. This is a freebie problem. No. Please consider my condition. I feel nauseous just looking at the book. Hold on. Seeing Ishigami looking half dead, Renji got up and walked out of the room. Ishigami watched in confusion as Renji left. Moments later, Renji returned with 2 plates of freshly cooked food. If reading gives you headaches and nausea, it might be blood circulation or neck related. Some PG might help. I borrowed your kitchen and ingredients from your dad. He set the plates down in front of Ishigami. One was onion salad with wood ear mushrooms. The other was scrambled eggs with onions. Here. Eat some onions and get back to studying. Renji said with a smile. Renji. Don't show off such high-level housewife skills. I'm afraid I'll awaken something weird in myself. Renji. I'm serious. Can you even study like this? Of course. I've been studying seriously. Is that so? By the time Renji got back from Ishigami's place, it was already nearly evening. Although Ishigami's family warmly insisted he stay for dinner, Renji politely declined. After all, someone at home was still waiting for him to come back and make dinner. It was Sunday, meaning Hayasaka was staying over again. Renji had to make it home in time to cook before dinner. Hayasaka also needed time to review for her exams tomorrow. I always thought you were the type who didn't need to study. Not quite. Hayasaka replied calmly. Consistently scoring exactly 114th in the grade every time. That kind of precision isn't normal. I only did that to avoid standing out too much at school. But aiming for a good score while hiding your ability is surprisingly difficult. Hayasaka said with a smile. Though now I don't have to worry about that anymore. I plan to do my best this time. I see. Or maybe you could tutor me, Renji. Do you think I'm in any state to tutor someone? The current scene, Hayasaka sat on the couch with a book in one hand, while the other gently stroked Kai's hair as he lay across her lap. She claimed this helped her feel at peace. Well, the lap pillow was comfortable, but Renji still felt it was kind of strange. After finals. It's the Hoshin festival, right? Yeah. Everyone's looking forward to it. Renji said with a smile. But the idiots in our class are going to be disappointed. Back during the class meeting, a bunch of them had tried to get Renji to cross-dress again. He had flatly refused. During the Hoshin festival. Can we go around together? Hayasaka asked softly. She calculated everything. Knowing Renji would likely invite Karura, and that he already had yesterday, Hayasaka timed it right. But as it turned out, the Hoshin festival overlapped with Karura's school finals. So she wouldn't be able to come. Which meant this was Hayasaka's only chance to be alone with Renji. Let me think. Kai started pondering. His only official plan for the festival was a piano duet with Fujiwara. Once that was done, he had nothing else on the schedule. No problem. Of course we can. That's great. Hayasaka smiled. On the morning of the first day, I'll be busy with my class event. We're doing a maid cafe, and I'll be working as a server. A maid cafe? Your classmates probably have no idea you're a real maid. Exactly. If you're free, drop by our booth. I'll treat you real nice. Chapter 370, I'm still your grandpa, oh. Click. The moment Renji walked into the student council office, he saw Shirogane pumping his fist into the air with a look of triumph. President, did you get top marks again? Oh, it's you, Renji? Noticing it was Renji, Shirogane cleared his throat and lowered his triumphant fists. Yeah, I did okay. What about you? Pretty good. Kai smiled. As expected, he'd once again ranked first in the year. Unlike last time when he tied with Aino, this time his total score surpassed hers by 2 points, earning him first place outright. When the results were posted after exams, both Aino and Kobachi were dumbfounded. Ever since middle school, Aino had always been first in her year. But now, someone had finally dethroned her. Man, the look Aino gave me when she saw the scores. So satisfying. She's still a fellow student council member. Try not to gloat too much. Shirogane said with a wry smile. Though deep down, he was pleased too. After all, he had once again beaten Kaguya. How did Ishigami do? Ranked 134. Not great, but he avoided any failing marks, so he's fine for promotion. That's good. Not long after, the rest of the student council members began to trickle in. Fujiwara acted like nothing had happened, Kaguya tried to hide it but was clearly frustrated, and Ishigami was visibly elated by his unexpectedly decent performance. As for Ano, MMPH. She pouted and glared at Renji, displeased. That's just the gap in ability, Ano. Why is it you? Someone who never even studies. Can get first in the year? Because I'm the honored one. Renji said with a shrug. Too bad, Ano. You didn't just lose this time. You'll probably lose every time from now on. I'll definitely win next time. Oh, I'll be watching. Shirogane laughed as he looked at the two of them, then seemed to remember something and said, right, today's the day, isn't it? What day? The three-way conference. The so-called three-way conference was a special event held by Shuchin Academy for second-year students. Based on each student's academic record and school conduct, teachers would sit down with a student and their guardian to discuss future academic paths. The student would need to decide what kind of future they wanted. Ah, so it's like a disguised parent-teacher conference? Renji nodded. Since he was still in first year, he didn't need to attend. And he already had a clear plan for his future, graduate and go home to farm. No need for a meeting. So parents of second years are visiting today? Yup. Fujiwara smiled. My dad's coming too. Got any plans for the future, Secretary Fujiwara? Of course. I want to become the Prime Minister. Well, that's the end of Japan then. My dad's coming too. Shirogane added. But since I'm the student council president, the principal will be attending the meeting instead. You mean that airhead principal? He'll probably suggest you become a Pokemon master. Ha ha ha, he's not that out of touch. As the group chatted, Kaguya silently sighed to the side. For events like the three-way conference, her father would never show up. The entire Shinomiya family treated her like a burden, so naturally no one would come for her. Kaguya-sama, you lost to the president again this time. Don't remind me of such painful things. Hayasaka and Kaguya sat outside the faculty office. Once the first round of parents and students had gone in, they were waiting to be called for their turn. You did well this time, Hayasaka. Made it to 50th place. If I jumped from 114th to the top 5, people would think I cheated. Steady improvement is better. In other words, she still wasn't going all out. Kaguya looked down and mumbled, I doubt father will show up for this kind of meeting. I heard someone's coming in his place. Hayasaka said casually while playing on her phone. Would that be Aunt Naao? Naao referred to Hayasaka Naao. Hayasaka-i's mother. I don't think she'll come. As soon as her mother was mentioned, Hayasaka's expression turned cold. She's busy and indifferent. Doesn't care about her daughter at all. It's like she thinks my life doesn't matter. Yo, so this is where you two were hiding. Eh? Hearing a familiar voice, both girls looked up to find Renji standing in front of them. Renji? Why are you here, underclassman? Kaguya asked. I'm here for you, Shinomiya. Renji said with a smile. For me? Kaguya looked confused. You see, the three-way conference requires a parent to attend, right? I figured Shinomiya again wouldn't bother showing up. That's true. But what's it got to do with you? Everything. Renji pointed his thumb at himself. Don't forget. Technically, I am your grandpa. So it makes perfect sense for me to attend my granddaughter's conference. Hayasaka. Kaguya. You're just here to mess around, aren't you? Letting someone younger than her attend her parent-teacher meeting as a guardian? This was just absurd. I'm not here to mess around. Renji said. I'm dead serious. Making that decision alone proves you're not serious. But I already got permission. You didn't threaten the main family with missiles again, did you? Nope. I got approval from the person assigned to attend on your behalf. The substitute. Seeing Kaguya's puzzled look, Kai stepped aside. A blonde woman in a round-brimmed hat walked up. Upon seeing Kaguya, she removed her hat and bowed slightly. Long time no see, Kaguya-sama. I hope you've been well. Aunt Naao. Mom? The woman before them was none other than Hayasaka Naao. Seeing her mother show up, Hayasaka looked stunned. And genuinely happy. Chapter 371, He died like a shit mom. Aunt Naao, it's been a while. Kaguya politely greeted her as well, then turned to Renji in confusion. You know Aunt Naao? Nope, not at all. I only found out an hour ago that she's Hayasaka's mother. Renji said. If anyone from the main house dared to step foot in Tokyo, my people would have already dealt with them. Thankfully, Auntie reported to me beforehand, so she was allowed to enter Shuchen. Just how much have you done to the main house? Some things are better left unsaid. High schoolers shouldn't be worrying about these things. You're a high schooler too. And a year below me at that. Naao then explained to Kaguya, apologies for being abrupt. I was originally here to represent Lord Ganon at the three-way conference, but Renji insisted on going in my place to support you, so I agreed. You shouldn't have agreed to something so ridiculous. And Aunt Naao, you seem really familiar with him. No, not really. Naao patted Renji's shoulder. I've just heard about him from my daughter for a long time now. Plus, I met him once at the main house 4 years ago. Renji, exactly. Kaguya. Hearing her mother words, Hayasaka turned away, disappointed. So you came for Kaguya? Not for me. That's not true. I had already taken the day off anyway. Naao reached out and gently stroked Hayasaka's head, her expression softening as Hayasaka leaned into it. Kaguya. Renji, you and Hayasaka are kind of alike. Renji, in what way? Kaguya, in how powerless you both are when it comes to your mothers. Having comforted her daughter, Naao turned to Renji. Well then, Renji, I'm leaving Kaguya-sama in your care. Leave it to me. Let's have dinner together after school. The 4 of us. Sure, I'll book the hotel. Okay. After the exchange, Naao led Hayasaka to the side. Kaguya tried to follow but was stopped by Renji's hand on her shoulder. Where do you think you're going, granddaughter? You're not seriously going to attend my meeting as my guardian, are you? Why not? Are you serious? Very. Meanwhile, Hayasaka and her mother walked away. Unlike her usual composed self, Hayasaka blushed and grabbed her mother's sleeve as she followed beside her. How are things going with that boy? Huh? What do you mean? I'm asking about your progress with Renji. Didn't you say back then you'd win him back? So how far have you gotten? Blushing even more, Hayasaka lowered her head and mumbled, I'm staying at his place now. Oh my, already living together? That's fast. And no, it's just I work as a maid at his house on weekends. I heard from the main family you'd been dismissed. Now it's Renji paying you to stay at Kaguya-sama's side. Naao said. Honestly, I think this is better. Gives you more freedom than before. It really does. Hayasaka replied quietly, then asked, how did you get in touch with Renji? Someone contacted me the moment I arrived in Tokyo. Once they confirmed my identity, They gave me Rinji's number. Nao replied. We chatted for a bit, and he even asked if I wanted to quit working for the Shinomiya family and come work for him. Such a thoughtful boy. I see. So when are you going to make that boy yours? Teacher, if you have any questions, ask away. What exactly are you two here for? Inside the faculty office, once the first batch of students had finished, the teacher called for Kaguya's name. When asked who the guardian was, Rinji raised his hand. Now, the teacher sat dumbfounded before a face-palming Kaguya and Rinji, wearing a fake mustache on his face. What are we here for? Of course, to attend my granddaughter's three-way conference, Rinji said, full of righteous conviction. Kaguya looked like she wanted to crawl into a hole. Takuman-kun, even with that mustache, I know it's you. How do you know my surname is Takuman? You didn't even try with that disguise. The teacher covered his own face, exasperated. Rinji had made quite a name for himself at Shuchen, and most of the faculty knew of the troublemaker first-year named Rinji. This teacher was tired. One after another, these students were all weirdos. First, a girl with terrible grades claiming she wanted to be prime minister. Now a freshman pretending to be someone's grandfather. Was there anyone normal at this school? Ms. Shinomiya, where is your guardian? The teacher turned to Kaguya. She was known for being an outstanding student. He trusted she could give a reasonable explanation. Well, due to some circumstances, her father, that is, my unfilial son, couldn't make it. Rinji interjected. Did something happen? It's a tragic tale, Rinji said, dabbing his eyes with a tissue. Her father, Shinomiya Ganon, has passed. What? He's dead. Now, this teacher knew Kaguya's family. Her father was the head of Japan's largest conglomerate. If he really died, it would be all over the news. And this boy was seriously slandering the head of the Shinomiya family? Teacher, my granddaughter's life has been hard. Burdened with a father like Ganon. Frankly, it's a blessing he's dead, Rinji said with mock sorrow. A few days ago, he went to the bathroom at night, fell into the cesspit, and drowned. What an unlucky family. Takuman-kun. Died like a shit. Takuman-kun, he's still her father. Show some respect. A beautiful, talented shit. That's not the kind of respect I meant. Chapter 372, Roleplay. In any case, Ganon was bound to die sooner or later. If not now, then later. Just a matter of time. So, teacher, any questions? Takuman-kun, can you please stop fooling around? The teacher's temple veins were bulging now. The three-way conference was a formal, serious event for mapping out second-year students' future paths. And here this fucker was, impersonating a parent. I'm not fooling around. I'm seriously discussing my granddaughter's future with you. Refusing to look at Rinji, the teacher turned to Kaguya, who now wore a look of utter despair. Miss Shinomiya, where's your actual guardian? I told you. I'm her guardian. Rinji insisted. Stop messing around. Kaguya let out a deep sigh. My father wouldn't came to something like this. I see. So the guardian can't attend? The teacher nodded, then turned back to Rinji. Takuman-kun, I won't say more about you taking someone else's place, but this is a serious matter. It's about a student's future. Please, leave. Old me. Fine. Rinji knew the teacher wouldn't let him stay, so he peeled off his fake mustache and stood up. Then I'll go bring Shinomiya's father here. What? Wait. Kaguya quickly blocked him. You're not planning to go to Kyoto and kidnap my father, are you? Of course not. What kind of person do you take me for? That's true. Even if I did, I wouldn't bring all of Ganon back, Rinji said with a smile. Just his head. Teacher, wait here a bit. I'll be right back. With that, Rinji walked out of the office, leaving both the teacher and Kaguya in stunned silence. It wasn't long before the door was opened again. Teacher, I've brought the person. Hello, I'm Kaguya's father. Kaguya. She opened her mouth wide, her face full of horror as she stared at the person entering the office. It was none other than Shiragene's father. Shiragene's father glanced at Kaguya and smiled. It's been a while, hasn't it? Why yes. So how far have you and my Miyuki gotten? Have you kissed? Please stop. Kaguya covered her face with both hands, practically wanting to disappear into the floor. Sir. Are you really Miss Shinomiya's guardian? The teacher asked suspiciously. Yes, that's right. Shiragene's father straightened the tie on his chest with a serious expression. He had just finished attending Shiragene's three-way conference and had been dragged here by Rinji. When he heard the subject was Kaguya, he showed great interest and came along with Rinji. The teacher looked at Shiragene's father. Judging from his attire, he did seem like a proper middle-aged man. While it was unclear if he was really related to Kaguya, They clearly knew each other. There was no time to worry about that now. Shiragane's father said, if the teacher has any questions, just ask. Rinji added, yeah, no need to be reserved. Let's all speak freely. The teacher hesitated. Takuman-kun, why are you still here? Well, even though I found Shinamiya's guardian, she is still my granddaughter. Rinji replied. Hold on. Shiragane's father turned to Rinji. The teacher thought, yes. Please, sir, stop him from messing around. Shiragane's father said, if you're Kaguya's grandfather, doesn't that make me a whole generation younger than you? That's not the point at all. Then what do you suggest, uncle? I'll play the role of Kaguya's father. How about you be the mother? Teacher, did you just say play the role? I don't want to play a female role. Change it. Rinji said. Then how about Kaguya's older brother? No good. Let's compromise. You play her real dad, and I'll be her godfather or sugar daddy. The teacher had a lump of frustration stuck in his throat. Meanwhile, Kaguya looked completely broken. For her, it didn't matter anymore. She just wished the farce would end soon. After a round of discussion between Rinji and Shiragane's father, they settled on their roles. Shiragane's father would play Kaguya's father, and Rinji would be her uncle. Shinamiya, today I'm your uncle, but one day I'll still be your grandpa. Please just shut up. Ahem, now that Miss Shinamiya has no objections, let's begin, said the teacher. With no other choice, the teacher had to proceed with the discussion. Miss Shinamiya's academic performance has always been excellent, consistently ranking second in her year. Regarding future plans. Niece, isn't it time you aimed for first place? Rinji said with a stern face, sticking on a fake mustache. Why are you always second? Have you been studying seriously? Kaguya. Shiragane's father added, hey, don't blame the kid. As long as she works hard, it's fine. Now even the teacher looked like he was losing the will to live, just like Kaguya. In any case, with Miss Shinamiya outstanding grades, she could shine anywhere. For further studies, are you planning to stay in Shuchen or go elsewhere? Finally, they got to the main topic. Kaguya started expressing her thoughts. I will probably listen to my family's opinion and stay in Shuchen. Her father, Shinamiya Genin, would never allow her to apply to schools outside. She could only stay in the closed system of Shuchen until college and graduate safely. The Shinamiya family didn't want any unexpected variables. Shiragane's father said, you can consider my opinion, but what matters is your own decision. Kaguya, no one asked you. Rinji added, internal promotion is boring. You need to broaden your horizons and see more of the world. Kaguya, definitely didn't ask you. Rinji, oblivious to her inner thoughts, looked at Shiragane's father and said, I think it's about time our niece had a romantic relationship. The way she is now, she might end up alone. A vein popped on Kaguya's forehead. I think that Shiragane kid at this school is a good match. He suits her. Shiragane's father smiled. Yeah, I think so too. Kaguya's face flushed bright red. She twisted her body uncomfortably. The teacher. He didn't even want to speak anymore. At this point, nothing mattered. Chapter 373, Taking Sides Naturally, nothing was accomplished at this three-way meeting. With both Rinji and Shiragane's father causing chaos, the teacher completely gave up thinking. When Kaguya left the office, she looked utterly defeated, resting her head against the wall as she reflected on her life. Ah, what an unforgettable meeting. Rinji said, leaning against the hallway window, lighting a cigarette. Yeah, though we didn't accomplish anything, said Shiragane's father, cracking open a beer he'd brought to the school. All in all, I'd say it was perfect. True that. How can you say it was perfect? Kaguya spun around and shouted, because of you two, the teacher now thinks I'm a weirdo. Now that's unfair. At most, he thinks I'm the weirdo. Smoke drifted around Rinji as he calmly smoked. You see, this meeting actually solved a lot of things for you. The result would have been the same no matter who came, right, niece? Stop calling me niece after the meeting's over. You're not my real uncle. Then granddaughter? Even worse. If I'm not your uncle, I can only be your grandpa. Rinji laughed. So what'll it be, Shinamiya? Uncle or grandpa? Neither. As Kaguya and Rinji bickered, Hayasaka and her mother Nao Hayasaka seemed to have finished their own meeting and walked out. Kaguya-sama, you're done too? Yeah. Thanks to these two, it ended in disaster. Is that how you talk to your uncle? Rinji asked. Shut up. You're neither my uncle nor my grandpa now. What a willful young lady. Kaguya was about to explode. Nao asked, so what did you all talk about? Just future plans with the teacher. Rinji said. I told Shinomiya it's about time she broadened her horizons, so I suggested external studies. That's actually quite reasonable. It's not reasonable at all. Kaguya shouted. Aunt Nao, you never should have let Renji take your place. Renji, what's with all this dissatisfaction toward your uncle? I told you, you're not my uncle. Stop using that setup. Okay. I won't. Renji walked up to Kaguya, patted her on the shoulder, then leaned in and whispered with a smirk, but you didn't seem to mind the student council president's dad acting as your father. Ugh. Kaguya's face turned beet red. I thought so. After all, one day, you'll have to call him dad, right? Stop it. Kaguya covered her face. She had already lost count of how many times today she'd wanted to crawl into a hole. Renji, Uncle has to go now. I've got some business to handle at the company. Okay, Uncle, you go ahead. Renji waved goodbye to Shiragane's father, then turned back to Hayasaka and her mother. It's almost the end of the school day. I've already booked the restaurant. Let's go eat together. Sure, I'll drive. At a high-end Western restaurant in Minato, Tokyo. A live band was playing soft melodies in the hall. The warm lighting created an elegant atmosphere. Despite being dinner time, there wasn't a single other customer. Renji had booked out the entire place in advance. Renji, you're pretty generous with your spending. Nao commented, sipping red wine and glancing around. Did you take some kind of challenge to spend a set amount of cash in a limited time? No, I just think money isn't that important to me. Renji played with the ice in his glass of cola with a straw. This meal was just Renji, Kaguya, and the Hayasaka mother and daughter. I heard my daughter's living with you now? Nao's words made Hayasaka's cheeks flush slightly, though she quickly returned to her usual expression. Yeah, though it's just on weekends. She comes over to rest after working for Shinomiya. Renji explained. Still, the Shinomiya family sure is something. Having such a young girl doing that much work. And the target is Hayasaka, too. This matter needs an explanation eventually. Nao, like her daughter, usually had a poker face that gave nothing away. After staring at Renji for a while, she asked, during that cohabitation, did anything heart-pounding happen? Both Hayasaka and Kaguya turned bright red. Early on, Hayasaka was simply blushing out of embarrassment, but as for Kaguya, thanks to Fujiwara having taught her some inappropriate things, her mind was currently racing with wild thoughts. What are you talking about? There probably wasn't anything. Judging by your pure expression, I'd guess nothing happened at all, said Nao. Let's put that aside. Miss Nao, what do you think of the proposal I mentioned earlier? You mean about me leaving the Shinomiya family and working under you? Yes. Renji nodded. You're well aware of my relationship with the Shinomiya family. You were there when the tragedy 4 years ago unfolded. You saw with your own eyes. It was a fight to the death. I understand. Nao swirled the wine in her glass, staring directly at Renji. You want me to pick a side, is that it? It's not about choosing sides. I just don't want you standing with the Shinomiya family. Renji replied calmly. I know your Hayasaka family lost to them during the power struggle and was eventually absorbed. Since then, your family has been loyal to them. But one day in the future, I will clean house. Especially those in the main branch. And it's precisely because you're Hayasaka's mother that I'm saying all this to you. Renji's gaze turned sharp. You should understand this well. I haven't acted against the Shinomiya family yet, but when the time comes, I absolutely will. When that day arrives, I don't want to see you among the main house's people. Because if you continue doing their bidding, I won't be able to guarantee your safety. Even if you are Hayasaka's mother. Chapter 374, People who are opposite, yet similar. Just drop me off here. Thanks for everything today, Renji. No problem. After dinner, Renji, Hayasaka, and Kaguya had left the restaurant together and were now at the parking lot, seeing off Hayasaka Nao. Nao was headed back to Kyoto tonight. Handling the Shinomiya family's affairs was no easy task, especially in her position as a subordinate. Since Hayasaka and Kaguya would be staying together for a few more days, both girls got in the car with Nao. The driver's side window rolled down as Nao leaned out and spoke to Renji. Want me to give you a lift home too? No need. I'll walk. Renji smiled, resting his elbow on the roof of the car. Miss Nao, I really hope you'll give what I said some thought. I will. Nao nodded. And I suspect you already know why I'm here in Tokyo. I do. I'll deal with him sooner or later. You don't have to worry. Renji paused, glancing at Hayasaka in the back seat before continuing. If you have time, you should spend it with Hayasaka. You don't get many chances to be together. You really care about my daughter, huh? Nao's rare smile flickered. I do. Renji admitted plainly. Renji. This might sound rude, But based on what I've heard about your past, you seem like the kind of guy who plays by no one's rules. Correct. But now, are you being held back by something? Huh? Rinji froze at the unexpected question. What do you mean? Never mind, don't overthink it. Nao turned the key in the ignition and rested her hands on the steering wheel. She looked at Rinji through the window one last time. Oh, one more thing. When Hayasaka's staying at your place, you'd better take the proper precautions. Huh? That's all. See you. She rolled out the window and backed out of the parking lot. Inside the car, Nao turned to her blushing daughter in the back seat. You once told me Rinji already had a girlfriend, right? Yes. And even so, you're not giving up? I don't want to let go. I get it. Come to think of it, hasn't he and his girlfriend not done anything yet? Correct. Hayasaka replied softly, then asked, Mom. What did you mean earlier, about Rinji being bound by something? Just what I said. I've always known. Since 4 years ago. That kid is dangerous. But today, I found him surprisingly interesting. Nao said while driving. These days, it's rare to find a guy with a girlfriend who still hasn't made a move. And that's related to being bound? One step across that line, and it means taking responsibility. Rinji's bound by responsibility. Maybe he doesn't know whether he can make a girl happy. Or maybe what? My daughter really can be dense sometimes. Figure it out yourself. Nao smiled. All I can say is, as long as nothing actually happens between them, you still have a chance. Eh? But don't get too happy yet. If he does cross that line, your chance will disappear. And that applies to every girl, not just you. Blip. A single raindrop tapped the window, and soon the rain began to fall in sheets. Ah, it's raining. After seeing them off, Rinji walked home alone. The sky had darkened completely. Blip. A raindrop landed on his nose, followed by a steady downpour. Clickbait forecasts again. Useless. Rinji didn't bother covering up, letting the rain soak through his clothes as he continued walking. Most pedestrians had ducked under store awnings. Rinji alone walked into the storm. Another rainy day. Rainy days always soured his mood, reminding him of the scene when Uncle Amano committed suicide. Eager to get home and take a hot shower, he picked up the pace. But just as he was about to run, the rain above him suddenly stopped. A red umbrella appeared over his head. Rinji, you'll catch a cold if you keep walking in the rain like this. Rinji turned around and saw Shirogane in her white Shuchin uniform, holding the umbrella above him. I just got back from Harajuku. Saw you walking here in the rain. Said. Ah, the forecast said no rain today, so I didn't bring an umbrella. Rinji laughed. I'm surprised you brought one. Tokyo weather's been weird lately, so I always carry one just in case. Her voice grew quieter. Let's go home together. Sure. Rinji took the umbrella from her, and the two of them walked side by side under it. What were you doing in Harajuku at this hour? Shopping? Not really. I was checking out some part-time job options, but most places don't hire middle schoolers. She sighed. Need money. I thought I gave you my card. It's not about that. I just want to be prepared. Thanks to you, our lifestyle has improved, but we shouldn't let our guard down. I'd rather you and your brother lived a bit more comfortably. Your dad's already got a good post at the company. He should be fine until retirement. You're probably right. So don't overwork yourself. As family, I just want you and your brother to take it easy. You really care about my brother, huh? Huh? Even back at home, your eyes are on him more than on me or Dad. Muttered. You could at least give me a bit of attention too. My bad. Rinji smiled and apologized, not catching the deeper meaning. I do care about the president. Probably because we're polar opposites, yet we've lived through similar things. I failed back then. So I hope he can succeed. Chapter 375, the upcoming Hoshin Festival. It's about time, huh? Yeah. Only about a week left. The Hoshin Festival is almost here. Tuesday, in the student council office. All members were present. Ishigami, has your class decided what they're doing yet? Yeah, it's finalized. Ishigami replied. We're doing a haunted house. There had been talk of a maid cafe or a play, but for some reason, those options always ended with classmates trying to harass Rinji. So he strongly objected and they settled on a haunted house. A haunted house, huh? That's not bad, said Shirogane. But the setup is a lot of work. Can your class handle it? No need to worry about that. Rinji cut in. I'll help set it up. If I do it myself, it'll be done in no time. That so? Alright then. Since Rinji said so, Shirogane could only nod and write the project down on his sheet. All student-led or club projects had to be registered with the student council ahead of time. Oh, Rinji. Fujiwara suddenly spoke up. We're performing on stage on the first day. 5 shows total. We should practice again. Sure. Okay. Then I think we're mostly good. Shirogane glanced over his sheet and muttered, but having the Hoshin festival last only 1 day feels kind of short. If only we could. You don't need to worry about that, President. As he spoke, Rinji pulled a document out of his pocket and handed it to Shirogane. I already submitted a request to the principal. This semester's Hoshin festival will be extended to 2 days in total. Huh? You already got it approved? That's amazing. Fujiwara beamed. Rinji-kun truly is Shushin's dictator. Rinji, when did I ever get that title? One last thing. Shirogane said, addressing the student council. The festival's executive committee needs people from the council to help. Any volunteers? The so-called Festival Executive Committee was responsible for the venue layout and event planning prior to the Hoshin Festival, approving class and club proposals, promotional planning, and opening ceremony design. A ton of work, in short. I'll go. Rinji raised his hand without hesitation. Alright. Anyone else? I will. I know Maiko also raised her hand. Okay, just you two? No. Rinji reached out and grabbed the retreating Ishigami by the shoulder. You're going too. Huh? You thought you could escape after pulling what you did at the sports festival? If I'm stuck with this, you're too. Brothers suffer together. Alright, I'll submit your names. With everything settled, the members gradually left the student council office. Only Shirogane and Rinji remained. President, you've decided, haven't you? Yeah. Shirogane fell silent for a moment before nodding. After submitting my application, I kept checking for updates. Yesterday, I found out. It's official. My application to Stanford University was accepted. Congrats, President. It really is something to be happy about. But it also means I can't waste time aimlessly anymore. His gaze sharpened with determination. The final moment will be at the Hoshin Festival. If Kaguya doesn't confess, I will. Alright. Maybe the mood got too serious, but Shirogane let out a chuckle. What's up, Rinji? Normally, you'd be trying to talk me out of confessing. Just preparing for both outcomes. If Shinomiya chicken's out, it's better for you to act. This can't be dragged on anymore. Rinji replied. Doesn't matter who confesses. What matters is that you two get together. True enough. Only success is allowed. Right. For some reason, Shirogane found Rinji unusually serious today. Thanks again, Takuman-kun. No need for thanks. Just stop bringing up the cross-dressing thing and we're good. With final exams over, there weren't any more classes, and the whole class was now preparing for the upcoming Hoshin Festival. Setting up a haunted house was a time-consuming job. Unlike other events that just needed costumes or a stage, the haunted house needed the entire large classroom remodeled, with traps, effects, props, and costumes prepared.